me get to the record button. Okay, go ahead, John. Get it off.
Repeat your point. What
No,
you
I
said?
mean, basically,
You
I
said
just feel
Trevor.
like the Cowboys fans, they remind me a lot of Portland Trailblazers fans. You know what I'm saying? In the way that Trailblazers fans, you see how they like to keep hanging on to Damian Lillard for hopes of winning a championship in the future, even though he's only getting older. Yada yada yada. They just drafted Scoot Henderson. They got Anthony Simons. They got Shady Sharp. But they talking about trading Anthony Simons instead of Damian Lillard. Why? Because they're delusional. They believe that they can find some way to put themselves in championship contention, and that in that way they remind me a lot of Cowboys fans, and that they are very delusional about their future aspirations. To be honest,
I think that's different though, because like the Trailblazers, they're gonna have to go through, or they had to go through the Warriors. They had to go through LeBron. I don't know. So what's some other good teams, Jesse? I mean, they had to go through a lot more.
The Rockets.
The Rockets. It wasn't like they were the favorite. Like the Cowboys, 2014. I think we were offensively the best team. So we had a real shot of winning. Had Dez caught it. We beat the Seahawks that year. So we were pretty good that year. Okay, now let's fast forward to 2018. We had a solid team. We had Zeke. He was leading the NFL in rush yards. We had one of the best lines. Dak was balling. He was kind of inconsistent, but you don't need much from your QB to win a Super Bowl unless you're going against like Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. But in football, you see teams like the Giants, you see teams like the Ravens, like you have a better shot of going on a run and winning. But in basketball, the better team is definitely going to win. Like you have 7 games. So are you going to beat them 4 times? And more than likely, if you're not the better team, you're not going to beat them 4 times. But in football, all you need is 1 win. And in football, it's more parity. Like teams are more evenly matched. The only reason the Cowboys haven't been able to get over the hump is strictly coaching. That's it. Like talent-wise, the Cowboys, I think we have been one of the most talented teams as far as like who we're going against. I don't see more teams, Mark Cooper, Zeke, Tony Pollard, great offensive line, defense. We had Jalen Smith, and this year that's when Jalen Smith was, balling when he knocked Alvin Kamara out. When we beat the Saints 2018, nobody gave us a shot. We still beat the Saints. So I think it comes down to coaching. That's really the difference. But other than that,
I feel like talent-wise, y'all haven't even been really up there.
You say that again?
You have the strongest lag I've ever seen. Is this happening?
We're talking about
no, this lag is
with all the salt.
Hey, Jacory, turn on the Wi-Fi, bro. Your lag is terrible.
But how Tobias not lagging, but Jacory going to hell? What the heck?
The Wi-Fi on?
We got time out. We got time out.
Y'all don't have to go in the same room or something, bro.
I gotta mute you right now. Let me mute you, Jacory. I gotta mute you right now. Your lag is sending me to the dungeon. You do need to go. If Jacory go to Tobias' room now because he paused, it'll be hilarious animation right now. That man paused his mouth open like that's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, Tobias. What was your point, man? Yeah, the lag is crazy, man. This man's face is hilarious. Tobias, what was your point? You saying the Cowboy fans they delusional and I mean, look.
Oh yeah, because I don't really want to get into too much of the Cowboys versus whatever debate we want to get into, but I will dispute that one last point one more time, just in terms of because I don't want to talk about the Cowboys in themselves. It's more about the fans' delusion. All right, so listen. So like what he said, like imagine what he said, like he just said the Cowboys had the best offense in 2014, right?
Okay.
So this is my thing, right? Cowboys fans like to measure their dreams based off of a lot of things that you actually can't measure. You know what I'm saying? Like talent. They'll tell you things like we have a lot of talent on our team. How do you measure talent? You cannot. Do you know what we can measure? We can measure wins and losses and results. So we can measure the coaches they've had, right? When you look at those coaches' record, you look at their wins and losses, does any of that show you like something that leads you to believe you have faith in that team? Not really. Back in the day, like the coach they had now, that boy had Aaron Rodgers for how many years, bro? And sold You feel me? The coach they had before that was Jason Garrett. What was he? Basically a walking motivational speaker. You know what I'm saying? So like you got that. And then think about this past year, right? So like this past year, their defense for like a large portion of the year, we believe them to be one of the best defenses in football, if not the best defense. And a lot of Cowboys fans would have told you that they were the best defense. And honestly, numbers wise, for a large portion of the season, that would have shown to be true. But this is where I gotta tell people, bro. They gotta realize, bro, that like the line between reality, bro, and their dreams, bro, is very thin. You feel me? Because that's what it looked to be. They looked to be the best defense, but then when you seen when they actually played them dogs towards the end of the season, I understand injuries hit them. You feel me? They started to sell. You feel me? And Cowboys fans just gotta like realize, bro, that like they gotta accept it. Like what they be seeing, bro, all the time, or like what they be thinking, bro. That shit is not real. You feel me? They gotta let that go. They delusional. And until their team shows us anything, like they go deep in the playoffs or they make, you know what I'm saying, that make us believe that they're gonna be one of those championship teams again. I don't understand how every year we can believe they have a chance to make the championship. I mean, and I guess a chance, you know what I'm saying, is very loose. I guess everybody has a chance, but can we be reasonable? Like reasonably.
I mean,
All right, John,
where you want me to start at? 2014, or you want me to start this year? Or like where you want me to start at? Because if we start 2014, for one, you can definitely measure talent in the NFL. Like you can use stats to measure talents. You can like JJ Watt. We know he's a talented player. Patrick Mahomes. We know he's a talented player. Like I don't see how can you not, just like you said, wins is a measurement of a talented team. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like stats, numbers and stuff like that. Those are things you can measure. You can garner real information from. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So we. I mean, how did where did you not see talent at?
I
Who was not?
say basically
I mean,
what I'm saying
Zeke.
is that the numbers don't support what you say. Like the playoff appearances, y'all make it there, right? So like
Right.
me, if I was a Cowboys fan, in terms of reality, what you could say is that my team is a playoff team, factually. All right. More often than not, in these past 8 to 9 years, I will say that is true. Now I don't know if y'all. I actually don't know for facts the Cowboys' playoff success these past. I don't pay attention to y'all. But
Right.
if y'all have made it more times than not, then y'all, I could say y'all are a playoff team. You feel me? Now,
Right.
this is where I would say that's where it stops. When they start saying we are a championship contender, that's false. In the past 8 years, when in any of those playoff runs have they shown us any amount of depth that leads us to believe that this next year they're gonna be championship contenders? Like when you see the Bengals, Joe Burrow's first year go in there and they make it deep, but then they sell. You're like, okay, this team that gives you faith. That's something you can measure. You've seen in the past what they were capable of. So now, but we haven't seen the Cowboys be championship contenders since VHS, since DVDs came out. You know what I'm
But I'll
saying?
tell you one. I'll tell you one
All
thing,
right.
Tobias.
Well.
I think one time where I could say they could like had that is after 2016 they lost Aaron Rodgers, and when Dak won Rookie of the Year and Zeke was probably second Rookie of the Year, they probably thought 13-3. They're young. They're probably next year. They definitely could have had a good argument of being championship contenders. And since they lost to Aaron Rodgers, who's like the most talented quarterback of all time at that moment. So at that moment, then yeah, they could probably say that. After a loss, they can probably say that. I don't know any other time, but that's the time. If a Cowboy fan told me that, I'd be like, okay, I can hear you. But John, go ahead with your rebuttal.
No, I'm just saying, like it's football. You don't have many games to show. Like, say for instance, 2014, we were about to go up on Green Bay. Like everybody knows a catch. So I mean, that was definitely an opportunity to win the game. We're going against quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers. Let's say 2018, we beat the Seahawks, Russell Wilson. Then we face the Rams. I mean, that year the Rams, they made it to the Super Bowl. Let's go to the next year, our next couple years. Like we've been going against the 49ers. Like top to bottom, they're probably the most talented team. Top to bottom, the 49ers. This year, of course, they lost to the Eagles, but maybe if they had the QB, we'll be saying something different. I mean, they have made it to the Super Bowl. They have been in the NFC Championship back-to-back years. I mean, multiple years. They almost beat the Rams the year that they played the Bengals. The only reason like somebody dropped the interception or something like that. So the 49ers is obviously a talented team. So I mean, we just been getting unlucky facing them, but it's not like we were still in the game both times. Like it came, we still one possession. So it's just the better team won. So it's not like that we don't have any chance. But let's say if we did with like the Eagles route, they had the Giants, then they had the QB list 49ers. So like all it takes is just one mishap or something like that. Like it's not like we don't have the talent to do it. Now this year, I don't think we were as talented as we have been, but last year I think we were a solid team. CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, the tight end, I forgot his name. Our offensive line was shaky, but defensively we had Trayvon Diggs, we had Michael Parsons, we got a solid trio of safeties. So I don't know, that to me that's talent. Like I can be objective and like I can see other teams, the 49ers, yeah, that's a more talented team, but I can't think of a team that just has more talent. But
so John,
you can't.
do you believe you're a Super Bowl contender next year?
That's the question.
Not next year.
And
Not
you
next year.
are not.
Not
But
next year.
can we
You know what I'm saying?
rewind though?
Thanks.
Can we rewind though? Like honestly, can y'all hear me well now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, good. No lagging. Perfection. Okay, so can we rewind? What conference has been better? You know, the AFC or the NFC the last 5 years?
It was the NFC at first, and then the AFC flipped it like the last 2 seasons.
The last 2 seasons? Okay, the last 10 years? Would it have been the AFC or the NFC?
I think the NFC the past 10 years probably better because one team just dominated the AFC. It was literally just the Patriots making it there, and then the NFC had like different teams every year, kind of thing.
I don't think so because even when the Patriots were dominating, they dominated the teams in the.
I think the depth in the NFC, Jacory, I think I agree with Jesse. The depth in the NFC gets it. Like perhaps the top end talent in the AFC, like the Chiefs, the Patriots. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, they you know what I'm saying, that gave you like some hope. Maybe even the Ravens, stuff like that. But you look at the NFC, you got the Eagles, the Cowboys. Like they go deep. The Packers. You know what I'm saying? Like they're a deep conference. Like their worst teams are significantly better than the Browns.
I feel y'all on that.
The Browns.
But I'm never doubting who's coming out at NFC. You feel me? Like I would always bet my money at NFC because think of the team that they would have to beat. And those are on par with like the 49ers and the Rams, and on par when I say better if they beat the Chiefs. You feel me? Like the Bengals, let's say if the Chargers ever get over the hump. Like there's teams out there that could kind of make a run. But I'll
like
say
the Cowboys.
I think the Dolphins,
if the Chargers have a
and
chance,
the Jaguars by themselves tank the conference.
But my thing is, we looking at the Cowboys as far as like every season. You know, after season 1 of a show, they're just that reoccurring face in the show in the seasons after that, like the special comedy guest in the playoffs. Like, we don't ever expect them to win. We expect them to be there. If they don't be there, they're the worst team ever. But if they make the playoffs, they're winning the Super Bowl next year. So they're always, like, reoccurring in the face, but they really haven't shown me enough to be a Super Bowl contender. Even with Michael Parsons, like, I still feel like they need, like, 2 or 3 more pieces.
Well, John, why do you think the Cowboys aren't a Super Bowl contender next year? What are you missing?
I got to look at our team. I've been kind of disconnected, but I mean, if Tony Pollard comes back healthy, our line is kind of iffy. I mean, our defense is going to be great, but I don't know. Offensively, like we missing something. Coaching, I haven't seen nothing out of Mike McCarthy. That's it. That's the only thing.
You think you need better offensive coaching? Is that what you're saying?
And
you think that prescott is going to hold up?
No, do you think Dak can go to another level with offensive coaching, the better offensive coaching?
I think it's more so coaching consistency. I've seen flashes of good coaching from the Cowboys. It's more so can they do it on a consistent level? That's the problem with the Cowboys coaching.
But at this point, like with Dak Prescott, are you going to really like invest that far in, or are you going to try to find something a little better? Like honestly, Dak is the middle of the pack, and he's getting older. It's probably time for you to get your real quarterback, if you ask me.
I think you're tweaking. I think quarterbacks are a dime a dozen. If you got a quarterback that can do it, you try to do it with as long as you can. Like obviously, everybody can't have Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson.
And everybody can't have Amari Cooper and Ezekiel Elliott in his prime. So I mean, if he couldn't do it with that, then when he go do it?
But his problem wasn't the talent.
John, what you thinking? Well, all these questions you got to answer one. What do you?
That's a lot. But I mean, I think it's not a Dak thing, bro. It's like when you look at our history in the last since '96, the last 26, 27 years, we haven't been able to get back. That's not a QB thing. We had Tony Romo.
Yeah, bad plot. It's just plot.
It's not a QB. It's a coaching thing. It's like something is missing up top that we can't.
Okay, but
we
John,
can't get it right.
We can't throw in Tony Romo when we had Derek Carr. Okay, that's equal bad plot. All right.
Tony Romo. No, I don't think that's equal bad plot. I think Tony Romo
Bro,
better.
Did you see what he did to
Hall of Famer versus somebody who's not a Hall of Famer?
No, he said no. Jesse said.
I don't think Tony Romo Hall of Famer.
But
Tony
I'm
Romo's
talking about what's equally as bad plot as having the most sacks quarterback in history.
Oh, but that's that team was new. That's an expansion team. That's a new team. So they're obviously not going to get enough talent to help that guy.
No, get no offensive line, but that's pretty terrible.
Yeah,
like
worst offensive line.
The slums were pretty slummish.
Well, hey.
I see coaching. That's what I see. I don't see.
So if you had Andy Reid, you think you win the Super Bowl?
Maybe. I think it definitely helped. Like this year, if we had Andy Reid, then yeah, I do think so.
You think it'd be San Francisco?
We definitely would have beat them.
You said definitely. Not close.
Definitely.
Can
I be fair and say I really don't believe in CD Lamb being as dominant as y'all say he is?
Oh, he's just for slander.
Before we go to that hot take, can we pause on the fact that I don't think Andy Reid. I like Andy Reid. I think he's a good coach, but I think a lot of what made Andy Reid successful is Patrick Mahomes. I think if you take Patrick Mahomes away from Andy Reid, a lot of that bullshit he be trying to do would not work with the Cowboys.
I think Andy Reid. I think you can't slight Andy Reid. Andy Reid didn't have good plot to Patrick Mahomes, but Andy Reid made 5 straight NFC championships.
I'm saying
not 5 straight, but he made 5 NFC
Patrick
championships.
Mahomes. I mean, he definitely showed he could coach a team.
Yeah, he went to start Alex Smith. Alex Smith has a cap on talent. You can only go as far as possible. But when you get extremely talented, you see what happens when he gets an extremely talented player. The results are amazing. So it's like Donovan McNabb. He had 5 NFC championship appearances, a Super Bowl, lost to the Patriots. Tom Brady.
But I do understand, like, Andy Reid, like, his strengths and weaknesses have always been known. He's always been a great offensive mind. He's always been, like, innovative on terms of that side of the ball. But his problems have always been, 1, time management. You know what I'm saying? Time management, and 2, defense, in which that team he had really cleaned up all those issues. Anytime they would fuck up and let a team come back on them and they down, what Patrick Mahomes doing in the last 2 minutes or the last 3 minutes of games. So that nigga done scored 14 points, 21 points in the last 3 minutes of games, 4 minutes of games. That shit that Andy Reid didn't have before. People saying that's plot. No, that's God. That's divinity. Like, that's not just plot.
Yeah, get off him, please.
Nah, like Andy Reid would get like those NFC Championships games, and like people forget to like what the thing about it was he wouldn't get in those games and it was close and he'd lose. You feel me? That's when you'd be like, oh, like this nigga, like they was on his ass like for a long time because this nigga he would get there and sell. It would be bad. You feel me? Because of those issues.
Yeah. I mean,
you got to play.
But it was.
Andy Reid still,
Patriots. That team really wasn't built like. I mean, who did they have right there? Who was their defense?
I mean, Terrell Owens had a broken leg in that Super Bowl too. So it like, and he still played, had 100 yards with broken legs, pretty impressive. But like sometimes it's just a bad, like he had bad luck.
I feel like
he has issues, but he's
like
not.
You trade Bill Belichick. I feel like Bill Belichick the type of coach that would like go to a team and maybe do what he's talking about doing. I just don't think Andy Reid. Like, if he never got a championship before Patrick Mahomes, and it took literally the best quarterback of all time, matter of fact, what y'all think?
It took Bill Belichick the same thing to get a championship.
But also,
but I would say
it took Bill Belichick the same thing because he was a coach for years in Cleveland.
Yes, and I would tell you the same thing about Belichick. I would tell you that. Like, actually, I wouldn't, but I would also say that like Brady's success isn't because of Belichick. I feel like it's a lot more the other way around. Same thing for Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid.
I don't agree.
Who's a good coach to you?
I think they're good.
Yeah, they need good players. You need good players to have usually. It's usually correlates.
You know what's funny? So like in the NBA, I like to think. Okay, so like people like in the NBA, they kind of think of coaches like game managers, like, you know what I'm saying, and they be like players or more. You know what I'm saying? Like they impact the game more than coaches do, which it's the same for both, but like it's the ratio. So like for basketball, you say it's like 10-90. You feel me? Or like 20-80 for like coach to player impact, right? And then for football, I feel like they tell you something more like 35-65 or 40-60. You feel me? I would argue, you know what I'm saying, it's closer to the basketball side, more like a 30-70 thing. 25-75. Want to know? Because I think you could have a great coach, right? A great coach, but a great coach is never going to carry a bad team in the NFL. It just doesn't happen. You feel me? But I've seen great teams carry bad coaches, like coaches that should not win chips have chips because of bad teams, which shows
you talking about the NFL? Can you give me an example?
Well, shit. Look at fucking Mike McCarthy on the Packers. That nigga's not good.
Supposed to say that, yeah.
That nigga's not good.
You got to go back to somehow to get to the Cowboys.
Why you say he's not good though?
Huh?
Why you say
that?
Okay,
so like usually, so actually, in fact, I got two things. I got two reasons, right? All right. So Aaron Rodgers, actually neither one of these. A lot of this is like, what do you say? Subjective. Like it isn't like facts. You know what I'm saying? And stuff. It can be debated. You feel me? But one, right? So he's had Aaron Rodgers for how many years? Basically, the man's whole career up until just recently, right? How many chips does Aaron Rodgers have? Right? If I was to ask you in terms of ranking the greatest quarterbacks of all time, matter of fact, in terms of talent-wise, where would you put Aaron Rodgers? Top two, right? Now, in any other sport, name me a top two talent. Name me a top two talent in any other sport outside of, you know what I'm saying? And in history, like in the history of the best position that does that it doesn't happen.
LeBron?
Huh? LeBron has 4 championships, or like what it's like that.
But I mean, but in football, it's hard to control
9 times.
all the variables.
But you can't say that though, because
at the quarterback position, that is the one position you would say.
Aaron Rodgers. In the last recent years, Aaron Rodgers' team. Well, I don't know about back then, but I'm pretty sure his teams with Devontae Adams, where he's the number 1 seed. He's been the number 1 seed since Mike McCarthy's left. And what has he done? Like, he's had opportunities. Like, for instance, he faced that 49ers team, and what he did, he put up.
That's a whole different conversation, because I agree with you.
But that's what I'm saying. He had an opportunity. Is that Mike McCarthy or is that Aaron Rodgers? Like, now you have 2 different coaches. So are we gonna still blame the coach?
Nah, but this is the thing. So like, this is the thing. So like, I agree with you. I don't believe Aaron Rodgers is Tom Brady, because I believe Brady's the type of player like we've seen when he went to the Bucs, where he can uplift a team by himself, even if like his coaching ain't good. Even though his coaching was good with the Bucs, I don't want to say that my nigga Bruce Arians not a good coach, because Bruce Arians is a good coach. Now,
I don't even understand why we're even arguing the point why the
like, even though Aaron Rodgers might not be that nigga that can carry you to a chip, you know what I'm saying, just by himself off the back of himself. He, like I said, we still consider him a top 2 talent. A coach should be able to get around my nigga maybe not being able to carry you like in the last 2 minutes of games and get you 14 points, some ridiculous shit.
But Tobias, let me ask you a question. I'm gonna ask you a question. Because we talk about Aaron Rodgers, and like, reason why I say football coaching is more important usually than basketball coaching is because there's so many variables you have to control, so much more management than just 5 players and like obviously the players on the bench. Now, if you look at his game against Arizona, when he threw a Hail Mary to tie the game to get to overtime, and he never saw the ball again because Larry Fitzgerald basically had 80 yards in overtime and scored the game winner. Like, you can't say, well, that's, like, but I don't know. There's nothing Mike McCarthy really. That's more on the defense coordinator. There's nothing really Mike McCarthy, the offense, or Aaron Rodgers. There's no like control of that. Or when they faced Seattle, and then like the old boy didn't do the special team right, and then they did the onside kick, and then the Seahawks recovered and all that. That's things like Aaron Rodgers can't control. If you're a basketball player, you can control things of that nature because you're on the court on offense and defense. He can't control the special teams failing or the defensive failures. So that's why it's like the coach is extremely important, because they have more control over all 3 aspects rather than Aaron Rodgers only has aspects control over his offense. He has only a little control over defense because if he starts messing up, then the defense gets tired. But that's the only kind of control you have. But you don't have that much control if you're the quarterback over the whole entire team. So,
I'm not. I really want to get to the actual debate because I really don't want to.
I got you. I got you.
But I'm gonna say one last thing about Aaron Rodgers, bro.
Okay.
So I like what you just said. Only problem I have with that is that like, yeah, that one example you gave me, you know what I'm saying? I would argue that they are outlier examples, because I feel like more often than not, you feel me? Like, firstly, Aaron Rodgers isn't making it to the NFC Championship all these years. That rarely happened. I think it's happened like 2-3 times, and one of those times he ended up going on to win 5.
He has the record for most losses in the NFC Championship, tied with Donovan McNabb.
Oh, okay. So he's making it. And losing. And a lot of these games, I don't feel like his offense is performing to the best of their ability. Like you see that consistently. When they go to the playoffs, they'll cook all regular season, get in the play. Like you're blaming it on the defense, which happened, but like they're not losing these games like 28-35. They're losing these games like 14-21,
My boy.
17-21.
I need you to understand. You sound like these LeBron haters. You sound like the one thing you despise the most. These LeBron haters. You make it to all these finals and you're losing more than you're winning. But since you made it and lost, it don't matter. Like his team wasn't supposed to be there. Like he's going against better teams half times than not. Sorry, can we acknowledge that at least?
No.
Can we acknowledge
he's the number one seed?
That's a whole debate on itself.
That's the number one seed. If you make the number, if he wasn't the number one seed,
that's a throwback.
He's number one seed, 13-3, bro. Like,
team.
Come on, bro.
That's a throwback debate.
You understand. You don't understand.
Like I don't understand. Like LeBron do the same thing. It'll be a whole war against the shit. But Aaron Rodgers,
LeBron went against a more talented team. That one team. That one team. Now it was the best team all time in the NBA, but it was the Warriors. You feel me? One team.
Okay, what about the third?
The fact that he is LeBron makes it that 99% of the time when he plays another team, that his team is better than that team.
Corey, let me ask you this. Let me look at the teams that Aaron Rodgers loses to. You tell me which team is the Packers worse or better than? So he lost. He didn't make it. He didn't make it last year. The year before he lost to the 49ers, right? So the 49ers are better. That 49ers team, that wild card team, better than the Packers 1 seed.
No, they were wild card because of injuries. But if you're talking about how they're built over paper, if they weren't injured, they'd be number 1 seed.
Okay. Jimmy Garoppolo team better than Aaron Rodgers team.
Bro, it would have been Trey Lance, and I'm talking about everybody on that team.
That don't sound no better, bro.
No, it wasn't Trey Lance. Trey Lance wasn't starting.
Okay, this one can help you a little. Tom Brady,
one game.
Buccaneers, Tampa Bay. Tom Brady, the Buccaneers. Aaron Rodgers, what team better?
Last year?
No, it was the year. No, not last year. It was the year when they faced. But this is when the Bucs went to the Super Bowl, so this can be relatively easy for you.
I would say they have more talent, so they were a better team.
The Bucs are better than the Packers.
They had a better team, yes.
The 49ers the year before, I'm not even going to. 49ers were better. That 49ers team at the Super Bowl were definitely better.
You don't think the Bucs came in and made like a juggernaut off rip when Tom Brady got there? You don't think that was a juggernaut with AB? Who else was it? Mike Evans.
I mean they had a solid squad, but bro, you like
AB not the first person you saw.
You don't think that was like
you were in the game
off rip?
You were in the game.
That's a Madden team.
If it's a juggernaut and it's a Madden team and they're smashing on them, then I'll give you that. But Aaron Rodgers he had the ball where he could have went up. Like at the end of the game, Aaron Rodgers he had the shot to go up. He had 3 tries and he couldn't get it. He didn't move any yards. So like,
but how many receivers are better than Devontae Adams? I'm not recapping the game, but if you're asking me, were the Buccaneers when they went to the Super Bowl better than the Packers at that point in time? Yes, they were. Because the Packers had 2 options: Devontae Adams or Aaron Jones. Devontae Adams or Aaron Jones. You feel me? So like,
but I'm asking who's better than Devontae Adams? Who's a better receiver than Devontae Adams? How many can you name?
I mean, I feel like Devontae Adams got pinned up because of how great Aaron Rodgers is. Like,
so he got lifted up. Like he's not that good by himself type of thing. Yeah. But he
I don't say he's not that good, but I definitely say he got boosted by the accuracy of Aaron Rodgers. If he's the number 2 or 1, I say 1 most talented quarterback ever. Like no shit, the top quarterback or his top receiver is gonna look like God. Okay. So I feel like that's one thing. I mean, he has talent what you need to be as dominant as he would. But I don't feel like he's going to.
Would you tax Jerry Rice or Randy Moss for playing with Tom Brady or Joe Montana? Would you give him that same tax that you give in Devontae Adams right now?
I mean, they were established before. Aaron Rodgers created Devontae Adams.
But you can say Joe Montana created Jerry Rice. Then could you not say that since Joe Montana was in the league, won a Super Bowl before Jerry Rice came to the team? Could you not? See, you put in a tax, so you gotta be consistent with your tax.
And on top of that, you said his number 1 receiver. Of course, he's gonna be great. But what about before Devontae Adams? I mean, Jordan Nelson, he was nice.
Jordan Nelson was.
No, I don't know.
You feel me though? I mean, yeah,
three,
let's talk
like,
about him. Where do we count him at?
He went
Where
first
did
team.
he look at? And that's who he was winning with.
No, but he had Randall Cobb, but in his prime, not old Randall Cobb.
Nice.
And
that's nice, but it's not no Jerry Rice. Like his best receiver is the one that just left from Devontae Adams. Like,
and that's a good receiver. That's first team all-pro receiver.
He's a good receiver, but Tampa have two good receivers and a good running back and Mike Stars on defense. Like when they won the Super Bowl.
That's a good point. But the point of the matter is, just like I can say the 49ers had a better team than us this year. I can go on and on about that. But what people talk about how Dak had the ball at the end of the game and he had an opportunity to win and he choked. Yeah. That's what they told us. Yeah. So Tampa Bay had a better team than y'all, but Aaron Rodgers was in the game. He had an opportunity to score. I can't remember if he was going to go up or if he was going to tie, but he had an opportunity. He was going to go up and he didn't do it. Like,
I'm sorry, John. That's choking. I was just answering the question asked to me, and that was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers better than the Green Bay Packers? And
but you didn't say yes or no, but
we're better than the Green Bay Packers, and that's my point. We should be saying Aaron Rodgers is a goddamn GOAT for carrying these Packers on his back. He still got the strap marks in New York on his chest, breathing orange air because he had to carry the Packers all these years. And yet we look at him and like, oh, you failed with this backpack full of bricks on your back. Why can't you win the Super Bowl? I don't know. Look at his team. Look at the talent.
I can't. It's hard to get back on that. You're hilarious. I'm gonna do? I gotta fact check you, Jacory. Because a lot of things just go and I don't say, but I gotta fact check this to make sure that, as you say, his defense terrible and all this and all these other things are terrible. I have to look into that and actually see.
The year also 49ers, they had a solid defense.
I will say the only time he won is when I think his defense was a top 5 defense, if not number 1 that year. But every other year, it might have been top 10. It was never top 5 really. So yeah, you can look it up.
They held the 49ers to like 13 points or something like that.
And that was great. That's partly good pacing on offense. Well, I would say it got to be some good defense, but clearly, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And plus,
it was cold too.
Who was at the quarterback? Wasn't y'all on y'all 4th string quarterback at that point too?
Wow. Fact check this nigga, bro. What's wrong with this nigga, bro?
you talking about when they lost to the 49ers? I mean, yeah, when they lost to the 49ers?
No.
What you talking about?
Was it the 49ers? What was the game when the 49ers had to be on a kicker damn near starting the game?
That was against the Eagles.
Oh, okay. So I thought it was the Green. All right.
No.
I was about to say.
Jimmy G been balling.
No, he has, and I don't know what they gonna do with him.
Yeah, no. He the only one that's winning them playoff games. Besides this year.
They probably still gonna start Trey Lance.
I will get to the debate too, because we were cooking on other debates. I'm gonna get to the main debate. So back in the day, I remember John, or I don't know if it was back in the day, I don't know if it was that long ago, but John, maybe it was a little back in the day, but we were we were defending the Texans because the Texans, we were defending the Texans because the Texans hadn't won anything and won a championship. And I think John was, he was trying to cook us, saying that being a new franchise, because at the time we were 16, 17 years old, being a new franchise is no excuse for your lack of success, right? There's no excuse. So that is his argument. He's saying being a new franchise is not a good excuse for lack of success. And I don't know what I said back then. I have no clue what I said back then. But
John, do you still believe in this statement today? That's my question.
Yes, that's why I'm here.
Oh wow!
Tobias, what do you say? Tobias, why you say pause?
Bro, you gotta realize, bro. How many teams do we have in the NFL right now?
Wait. Time out. You could no. This is not you yet. We're not you yet.
He can come in. That's fine.
You want?
No, that's fine. No. Come on, you already here. So
let's come. Let him come. But Jacory had something going. He said something, and then. But look, Jacory, can you say out? Then Tobias, you want to get off too?
No, I don't want. No, this y'all. I'm ready.
All right, Jacory, go ahead and continue what you're saying, man. Or because you said, honestly, do you still believe in this statement? So, I mean, John responded yes. I'm updating.
Oh, so you say you're still here. You still believe that the only reason is because we're an expansion team. Oh, in 16 years we should have won by then. So what is the reason in 27 years y'all haven't touched the Super Bowl trophy? There is no reason.
He said that's the rebuttal back to roast.
What's the reason?
I need an answer.
The reason is we haven't been good enough. The same reason y'all haven't. There's nothing to. I mean, in 27 years, y'all had the same amount of playoff wins as us, right?
Okay.
And we were established back in the 60s. We have 5 rings. So obviously, it's not timing; it's just skills.
Is that like?
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Is that really a stat you want to bring up though?
No, I'm saying if you say okay, we're a new team, then that's fine. You can say okay, we haven't had time to establish ourselves. But y'all have won the division 6 times. Y'all won the division 6 times. Y'all have the same amount of playoff wins as a team who has 5 Super Bowls. Should I keep going?
Yeah, you should. I mean, that don't mean anything because how many times have y'all, been in the playoffs, been in the final, in the NFC conference? Like how many times have y'all almost got there and didn't, finish through? So, for you to say it's just because other champions did it before, office matters. Y'all are more established, and our front office is nowhere near as established as y'all. And you've seen how that affects the franchise. Okay, so you are blessed with one of the best, if not the best, franchise NFL owner of all time. Okay, so let's not say whoopie-doo, we ain't got people bankrupt. It's a business. It's a business, so I would hope so.
In 27 years, how has that translated to wins? It's good for marketing. That's it.
That translates to a president that let go of coaches and players based on how much they like them. All right, and not really caring about if that affects the winning success of a team. All right, so front offices do matter. Y'all been more successful as far as that front, but apparently y'all promised with the devil. Cost y'all never to see another championship again. Don't express your anger out on us Texans fans because we've been looking up lately. And we've been living through our bright spots while y'all been in Armageddon. Okay. Y'all definitely got to find y'all way back because what's going on now is y'all going on this up and down roller coaster ride and y'all are plateauing right now. Y'all are plateauing.
Let me ask you a question then. What about the Browns? They haven't won any Super Bowls, but they've been around just as long as us or longer. Mm-hmm. How come they haven't won any? They had all the time in the world.
I mean, I'm going to resort back to front office, owner. That matters. How can they run a team? And I honestly do say, the Browns had good chances, I guess, back in the day, before I even watched football or my dad watched football. That probably would have been their best time to win, and they didn't. So, I mean, they probably got a good time now. If they lock in on what they have, I feel like they could win it in the near future. You said the Bills?
Yeah, the Bills.
Okay. The Bills got to the Super Bowl.
There's 12 teams who haven't won a Super Bowl.
And I feel like the Texans are the youngest. So I feel like for you to say the Cowboys are just better because they won 5 of the what Super Bowl are we coming up on?
57, 58, maybe? I don't know. I lose them after the late 50s. I start losing them.
So we're in the late 50s, and you have 5 of those. How many teams have multiple? So it's not looking like it's a lot of winners. It's kind of almost like the NBA. But my thing is,
that's my point.
But yeah, but
y'all not winning because y'all haven't won. It's not because of time. It's because y'all aren't good enough. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
The thing is it's almost like if you ever watch 8 Mile, it's like because you gonna slander the Cowboys, but he took away he slandered his Cowboys himself, saying we're not good enough to kind of take away that's hilarious.
I'm not taking away his point. I'm just stating what it is. I'm gonna be honest. We haven't been good enough. We had 27 years. That's the whole point. We had 27 years and we haven't done it. Obviously, it's not a timing thing. It's a skill thing, and we haven't been skilled enough to win one. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. So it don't matter how much time you have.
But we're talking about the Texans versus the Cowboys.
Sorry, go ahead.
We're talking about the Texans versus the Cowboys. All right. So this is an argument. So we're putting 1 and 2 against each other. I don't care if neither one of them are good enough. which one of them is not good enough worse than the other one is good enough. All right. So that's what I'm trying to tell you is the Cowboys just been showboaty. They've been on TV. They've been on their ass. They get prime time ass beatings, and they look like they're better. All right.
I agree.
We do not.
What's the debate? But okay, let me paint a picture for you, right? So let's say 2019, right? The Texans.
Okay.
Let's look at them, right? They had the best receiver in the league in DeAndre Hopkins. They had a top 3 QB in the league. Now, some people may say, okay, top 5, but I'll say he's top 3. Like, as far as talent established, he wasn't the most established because you still had Aaron Rodgers, you still had Tom Brady.
The second year in the league.
2019-2020 season?
His third year, he was poo. I don't think he finished.
That was it was the second full year. The second full year. Yeah. It was his third year. I mean, first year he got tore his ACL.
Okay, but that year, let's see, beat the Patriots. Who else they beat?
No, he went crazy. But
so what you say? Top 3 or top 5? Which one is it? Okay, who's better than him? Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson.
That year, it was Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. You had Aaron Rodgers, and that's 4 right there.
Okay. You had a premier left tackle. You had J.J. Watt. What?
Premier left
top
tackle.
5 player of all.
J.J. Watt was injured in the season.
He didn't play 2018?
No, 2019? He played 2018. He played like 7-8 games in 2019. He didn't finish this. He wasn't able to finish the season. I think he tried to play it. I think he tried to play in the postseason.
He got hurt again.
He had a torn pec or something like that. So he didn't. Yeah, he's not. I don't know if we didn't have Clowney either. So no, yeah, the pass rush wasn't good at all.
Okay. Well, he was on the team. So that's a solid team. Where's the discrepancy? If you want to say,
did we forget about defense? Well, all right, come on, because our corners were getting cooked. I remember that.
That was a bad defense.
So what about the Chiefs? Like
the Chiefs, you talking about the team that we had beat in the first half, came back and dropped 50 on us? That Chiefs, don't ever mention that name against the Texans.
But I'm saying
we will cry and
defense. That's what I'm saying. Right? Like they didn't have a great defense. That's not you can't mention defense. Like when you specialize in something, when you had the best receiver and you had a top 5 QB, like and you had a premier left tackle. So your team is obviously good enough to do it. It's just y'all couldn't get over the hump.
The hump was one of the best talented teams in NFL history.
Okay, exactly. So you're saying the reason y'all didn't get it done is because y'all faced the Chiefs. So it's not a timing thing. That's my point. Y'all, the reason is the Patriots and the Chiefs. It has nothing to do with time. It's just y'all haven't been good enough to do. And you can say that, but y'all had a 24-0 lead against the Chiefs. So it's like obviously something is there.
But I'm all right. Ja'Cory, I want you to know, okay, Ja'Cory, so I'm gonna interject because John, I understand John's point. I'm gonna interject just to update where we at in terms of this debate. So I understand John's point, saying that you just didn't we just didn't get it done, obviously facing harder competition like the Chiefs, who were a cut ahead, obviously, of the Texans, as you see, especially in that game. And Ja'Cory, I want you to tell me what is your point in terms of rebuttaling why the Texans' youth, in terms of being a franchise, is a solid reason why that we haven't won anything.
The main reason is I would put that on our executive staff, the presidents, the front office. One, I would say our front office is nowhere near established as the Cowboys. As far as getting that set up and ownership is probably the 29th best ownership in the league. It's pretty bad. But I definitely would put that up there as far as a big reason why. I would definitely say the best talented teams between the Cowboys in the last 27 years, 25 years versus the best talented league team from the Texans in the top in the last 25, 27 years, the Texans probably would have the better team. I feel like that last game 4 years ago kind of showed you that.
You mean the peak? You're saying the peak Cowboy team versus the peak Texan team.
Yeah.
What do you think is the peak Texan team?
I would say I would say 2019 fully healthy, but I would see. I mean, that's something spectacle. So I would have to say 2019 or 2018, young Deshaun with J.J. Watt going off, and I want to say 2017 we had Andre Johnson and D-Hop, but I would still say it's 2018 when J.J. Watt was second for MVP.
What's the peak Cowboy team? What's the peak Cowboy team? There's only really two you can really ask. It's
I think it would. Yeah, I think I want to say 2016 with Amari Cooper, Ezekiel Elliott in his prime. Offensive line was at its peak, I would say, for y'all in the last 4 or 5 years. I would have to say 2016, and that's when they faced each other around that time period. But
okay, so I'm gonna give you, Jacory and John, I'm gonna give you a statistic, and this statistic is going to give you a better, it's going to adjust this conversation. It may adjust this conversation some way. There is a statistic. It's called DVOA. Now, this statistic, I learned about this statistic last year. And this statistic, what it does, it calculates your team on every single play, right? And it calculates every single play you have, the difficulty of the play, so how many down, the distance, the situation, and the opponent and the strength. When you calculate all of these things together, you will get a proper value of how good you actually are as a football team. Now, if you have a positive DVOA, right, that means that you are above the 0-0, you're above average across the league, right? You're an above average team. If you have a negative DVOA, then you're not. Mm-hmm. So if you have 10, 12, 13 wins and you have a negative DVOA, you're overrated. If you have 6, 7 wins and you have a positive DVOA, you're underrated. Things may just happen. You're facing extremely hard competition. You're probably competing like crazy, and something bad happened at the end. That type of thing. So you actually get a proper view. If you have a higher DVOA, is a better shot. You have a good postseason run, because in the postseason things change, right? Obviously, you get away beating bad teams regular season, not the postseason. Now, to rebuttal, the best Cowboy team is the 2016 Cowboys. That's the best team they've had. Their DVOA is in the early 20s. The best Texan team is the 2011 Texans, which is clearly the best Texan team. I will tell you that 1,000 times over. It's not 2012. It's not 2018. It's not 2019. It's clearly 2011. Because that team, I can clearly see and say, okay, we are actually good. There's other teams, they definitely had moments, or they definitely were slightly or extremely overrated. The second best team.
Are you talking about the Matt Schaub year?
Matt Schaub, Arian Foster, J.J. Watt.
Okay,
that great defense.
I can't argue that. That was a great team.
That's
was
the
Super
best.
Bowl contending team, Super Bowl contending team. But yeah,
ain't that the team that got dogged by the Patriots though?
No, that's not.
That's what I'm saying.
No, that's not. Because
that's the team that Matt Schaub got hurt. We went in the playoffs.
TJ Yates. That's why you do this metric, because that 2012 team is the 4th or 5th best Texan team. So they have the best record out of all the Texan teams ever, but they're not the best Texan team. See, that's why you do this metric, because the Patriots exposed us. We're overrated in 2012. We weren't overrated in 2011. We just had TJ Yates, and Ed Reed just kept picking them off in the postseason. We couldn't freaking stop that. We barely lost the game too. So that was the best Texan team, right? So Jacory, do you think, with the adjustment of what I just said, do you think the 2011 Texans are better? Not the Deshaun Watson Texans. That team is slightly overrated, too overrated completely. Is the 2011 Texans better than those Cowboy teams?
I would say no. And I would say no only because look at the talent that we would have now. I know that's a metric, but do we know the potential of the team in the 19? With that team you could have strung together, I feel like could have beat a virus. If we put that.
You talking about 2019?
Yeah, 2019.
That is a very overrated team. You should have used 2018.
Okay, it could be all right, as far as the year, yeah, but I'm talking about the people on the team, really. So, as far as those people, I feel like they could beat a wider array of teams than what we had then. That's Andre Johnson. We had Arian Foster, Matt Schaub. Yeah,
2011. Okay.
Right, and honestly, we had a lot of what I would say. Arian Foster was he's top 5 running back. Andre Johnson, top 5 quarter receiver.
Top 3. Yeah.
Top 3, yeah. So those positions carry, but it's not anything without a top 5 quarterback going in time. They're not going to hold up.
No, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. The 2019 Texans sitting at -5 DVOA is the most overrated Texan team. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It is the most overrated. You have to use 2018 because
they
if
had
you
the best shot.
they had a good shot because they were up, but then obviously as you can see, and that's how explosive the Kansas City Chiefs are, and what they did against Tennessee, and what they did against a very good DVOA San Francisco team. Like now, when you look at that, it's kind of like okay, well
Okay, I
the
mean, I see that point of
was
the
terrible.
argument.
That defense was terrible.
Because I'm trying to compare teams as if they're facing each other, but I would never put that 2011 team up against the 2016 Cowboys. I don't feel like that would be fair.
That 2011 team was very good. That was very close. Tobias, you can go, but that 2011 team would definitely compete. That was a very good team.
Yeah, because you're tweaking, bro. They would smash them niggas, bro. And that 2018 Texans team, bro, would probably smash them niggas too, bro. Because I just want to say, like Jesse talks about it a lot of times, I just feel like those teams had better plot than that 2016 Cowboys team. The Cowboys team hasn't had plot since DVD came out, legitimately. You know what I'm saying? Whereas the Texans have had plot. We've just played teams with way better plot. Like the Patriots and the Chiefs, nobody's beating their plot. And those are the teams we face more often than not. And when we haven't played those teams, we've literally either been hurt or we just sucked. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what can you do? You feel me? Okay. But in terms of this argument, I kind of fuck with both sides because it's kind of like he's kind of saying that like the talent the Texans have, like John kind of saying the talent the Texans have kind of shows you that we kind of don't have no excuse for kind of being sucking, like for not winning. It's like because both teams in the same time period, like since the Texans have been made and the Cowboys have been made, both of the teams have not done shit really, like in terms of the grand scheme, right? So it's like who has a better reason to not have done shit? You feel me? Now, Jacory would argue.
I think we have a better reason. Though. I think
Jacory would argue that it's the front office. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Whereas,
I would say
you can't really make an argument for what you can't really make an excuse for the Cowboys outside of like coaching. You feel me? But you can make reasons why the Texans should have succeeded, and I can see an argument being made for that in terms of like we've had talent, like Hall of Fame talent. The Texans legitimately have fucked their talent up themselves, which is where the front office comes into part. I think it's a kind of nuanced discussion, to be honest.
I think in terms of this debate, I think John is having he's like winning the debate so far. I would just say this is like I guess my introduction to the debate, and this is why Jacory, if I was to side with you and like I guess tag team essentially, it's very like to when you are an expansion team, right? Obviously, we're 17 years down the road, so obviously John's point does make sense because obviously there's many moments where we didn't get it done, but when you're an expansion team, obviously it's very hard to be good. There's been 2 expansion teams ever who were actually pretty good. Like in a year or 2, they made the conference championship, Jacksonville and Carolina. But after that, every other expansion team is usually terrible. Now, the reason why we had the most sacks in history, Derek Carr's rookie year, is because the guy who was supposed to get in the supplemental draft, Tony Baselli, he retired before he even played a game with us. So we had no left tackle. We had no tackle at all. So that regime was already doomed because of many things, right? That was already a doomed regime. Now, for most teams, it takes a good amount of time to find the perfect or the good regime, not even a perfect regime, like a good regime. And there are moments we found pretty good regimes. The Gary Kubiak regime was pretty decent. Bill O'Brien started off decent, and then things went down the freaking hill. But he started off pretty decent, right? So, but it takes time to find a good regime. Most teams ever have never found that good regime immediately or within the first 20 seasons of being a team. So it takes usually time because it can't be the Steelers. The Steelers who have 3 coaches in the last like 50, 60 years. It's hard to be a team like the Steelers, or it's hard to be a team like the Cowboys in the beginning where they had Tom Landry for 20 years in a row, right? And a great regime, team that made the playoffs 20 straight seasons. It's very hard to have that, right? Now, obviously, being a new team, if you talk about marketing and branding, the advantage the Cowboy team would have over the Texans is that maybe free agents would want to explore going to the Cowboys more rather than the Texans. The Texans, especially early on, are not a very good team. That's why the regime is doomed. They're not a very good team. They're young. Nobody's coming into play. If there's state income tax, no state income tax, they're picking Dallas over Houston. The branding is much better. Now, obviously, as we go along, you get a good regime, you start getting some good players, you start drafting, things start to come up. You face some hard competition. There are teams that are a cut above. There's only one Texan team that actually realistically was a Super Bowl team, which was the 2011 team. 2012 team was overrated. The Patriots showed us immediately. We had the best record for a while, but obviously the Patriots were cut above. The Broncos were cut above. And it looks like the Ravens were too. They made a whole freaking great run to the postseason and Super Bowl, whatever. Those are only teams that usually are actually good. The Texan teams with Deshaun Watson, there were teams such as obviously the Kansas City Chiefs, the New England Patriots. Those teams were a cut above. So we lost to the Patriots, lost to the Chiefs. That was our thing. Now, we were a good team. I'm not going to say we're not a good team. We're tier 2. They're tier 1. When you look at the ratings, when you look at everything, when you look at the statistics of it all, they're a tier 1 team. Now, like I said, there's John, you is right. We for sure should have ourselves to blame. But at the same time, we haven't got a great regime yet. Like maybe this regime is the regime that's good. But it usually takes a new business, a new team, something. It takes time usually to get to that. Only like 3 or 4 teams have ever won a Super Bowl within the first 20, or won a Super Bowl within the first 20 seasons. And it's y'all, because good job. Y'all did great back in the day. It's the Jets, it's the Chiefs, it's the Dolphins. And the Dolphins and Jets ain't done none since. And the Chiefs just realized their plot like 5 years ago.
But so, Jesse, I would ask you, I don't mean to interrupt, but I want to ask you how much do it weigh on you when you're not only a new team, a team that's trying to, identify and brand itself, while you're facing 2 other franchises? Like,
I mean, it's hard when you're a new team,
not
especially
at the same time, like in between one to another.
The hardest thing is that when you're also in a conference facing 2 of the top 3, because not only is it Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, we were in the AFC South with Peyton Manning immediately. I don't know why he's in the AFC South when that's clearly an AFC East team. I don't know why. You probably better to put Miami in the AFC South since that's Southern, and then Indianapolis on the Eastern Coast. But when Peyton Manning is also in your division, it is obviously extremely hard to win because that's free. Peyton Manning has free wins over you. He's winning every time. We had 0-13 at Indianapolis. That was our first 13 times in Indianapolis. We lost 13 straight times. It was a loss every time. So it's like I said, no, most teams don't win in their first 20 seasons. Now, we are to blame for many of our losses, but at the same time, we are doing what most other teams do. We don't win. They fail at regimes. Most dynasties have terrible periods of time where they start off. San Francisco, Pittsburgh, freaking not the Cowboys. That's one of those rare things. The Patriots in the 90s were terrible. Most teams usually are terrible for a long period of time until they find their regime. So
yeah, but 4 out of how many? You said 4-1 within the first 20 years.
Out of how many? 32. Every team, 32.
And I want to play devil's advocate for my boy John. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I don't really like Cowboys, but if I was to attack this from this perspective, this is what I would say. So everything Jesse said is true. You know what I'm saying? It's really, in terms of new teams coming into the league, there's really nothing hard. It's really hard to go against that. But what I will say is that the Texans, from the minute they decided to become an expansion team, they had what very few people have, and that's a blank slate. You feel me? Blank slate, open opportunity, chance to do whatever. Now, this is from the beginning. You saw signs of ineptitude, right? Now, on the Texans and the Cowboys, I'm gonna get into this later. I believe there is ineptitude in both front offices. You know what I'm saying? Because they like to say they like to prompt up and say that the Cowboys have the best front office. You did say this. He said financially, as a businessman, and you said football as a business. As a businessman, Jerry Jones, yes, but that inflated ego, that sense that it seeped down. He has now become what I would like to say is a toxin to the Cowboys front office. But before I get into that, I want to speak on the fact that from the Texans, they drafted that boy, right, who then immediately retired. That speaks to their scouting department and their research team and their ability, you know what I'm saying, to do things. Because how does that happen? You feel me? People say that's a random fluke. I would say that's a fuck up as an organization. That same ineptitude we now see has been shown literally throughout the whole 17 years of the Texans' existence. You know what I'm saying? From the McNairs basically being kind of like walking stones and having favorites, and then allowing their favorites to do whatever they please, right? Which, you know what I'm saying, which gives Jacory reason to say that the Texans kind of have an excuse to be ass, right? But there's 2 types of ineptitude that we've seen from the Cowboys and the Texans, but they're very different. On the Texans side is ineptitude in terms of the McNairs have stepped back and allowed things to be run by people that should not run things, and those niggas have kind of fucked shit up. But it's really been in minor cuts that have left bigger holes. You feel me? By You fire one nigga, which leads to another nigga wanting to leave, which leads to another nigga wanting to leave, and things kind of snowball. However, on the Cowboys side, Jerry Jones, as in being the owner, has kind of stepped in and tried to control everything. You feel me? From the coach, from the coach they've had to the people they hire to the players they have to the system even they run. He go to practices, stuff like that, to a person who should not be doing that, right? Now you would argue like some people you could compare. You'd be like, well, the Texans, this resulted in them losing a few players. Well, I would say on the Cowboys, anytime you've seen something negative happen in terms of like their personnel or play style or anything like that, you can charge in some way to Jerry Jones because at the top, you know what I'm saying, everything roots from him. He's the tree. You feel what I'm saying? So his ineptitude has poisoned it all. You feel me? In terms of like when we talk about the coaching, the bad coaches, who hires the coach? Who's kept that coach in place? When we talk about the cap and what they're using the cap for, the players they trade for, who's influencing a lot of these trade decisions, who's influencing who wants to even come to Dallas. We've had a lot of controversy in their front office in terms of racial issues and stuff like that playing out in the background. How has that affected their outlook in terms of the league? You feel me? A lot of that plays into that. Now let's go into like talent wise, right? They're both we've already established that both front offices are inept, right? Now Jesse has made the very fair excuse that the Texans are a new team, where Dallas is an established team, right? Now, on this, I feel like we're trying to argue these 17 years because we cannot argue these teams as a whole. Because as a whole, I'm gonna be unbiased as I can. Dallas is leagues above the Texans. You know what I'm saying? That nobody will ever call Texas Houston's like the Texan city. You know what I'm saying? It is not. It is Dallas. It is the Cowboy state. You feel what I'm saying? And it has been there for the entire formulation of the Texans and for decades before that, right? And it will probably be that way for decades moving forward. You know what I'm saying? That is reality. Anybody who wants to fight that lives in what I would say delusion.
Jacory, why are you shaking your head? Why are you shaking your head like
because that's not going to happen. We already seen the success is not coming from the Cowboys.
No, but it's the problem. It's the problem.
They've had their success. Like them winning 5 championships is the perfect marketing.
Right.
Like that whole America's team in the 70s and the 90s, that's what built them to have something that sustains. It's like having a business, and when you build up the business, be $1 billion business, just sustains. Even if it's taking losses, it's still going to sustain itself. People still going to want it.
Until it bankrupts and falls down. Buildings
they don't bankrupt. They
so
still,
that's
people
what I'm saying.
still paying money to see it. It's the most valuable franchise in the world for a reason.
And then I would go into this and
saying going to last?
That name itself gives the Cowboys what I would call a cushion, right? So this debate from the jump is not fair, and that the Cowboys, when they came into these 17 years, they have what I would say respect to their name. So like they're coming through these past 17 years. He already said we've had the same amount of playoff success, basically. You feel me? However, I would say a few things. Like if I was like trying to debate from the Cowboys side, y'all Texans have had much better talent these past 17 years. All right, much better talent. The Cowboys have done it with like,
much better talent.
Who's had the best quarterback talent wise the past 17 years? Who had the best quarterback?
You think? I mean, look, we could say Deshaun, but then Tony. Well, how many years of Tony Romo they had? What, like 12 years Tony Romo, the 3 years Deshaun Watson?
If you said Tony Romo was a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson, in 5 years I would play this podcast for you back.
No, 12 years of Tony Romo versus 3 years Deshaun Watson, 3 years and 5 games of Deshaun Watson. Now we say 3. He played 2020.
Matt Schaub. Okay, add up Matt Schaub and Deshaun Watson and put them together.
You can't add up. You can't add. You can't add people. It's one-on-one.
That's what I'm saying. You dodging the question. Who is the best quarterback talent-wise?
Look, but you can. We say Deshaun Watson, but we had to add context because if I have 2-3 years of a good player versus say Tony Romo's like 90 and Deshaun.
Who had the best running back? Who had the best running back in the past 17 years? Who had the best running back?
I'm saying
Cowboys.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Who had the best wide receiver?
I think. Well, who do you have? Amari Cooper.
We had Andre Johnson and
Andre. I would say Andre. I'm saying Andre.
It's not close.
Who had the best offensive line?
Best defensive player.
No, don't say defensive player because you can't stop at just. Well, you got to say
defense.
Defensive player, offensive line,
defensive lineman, cornerback.
Cornerback. We don't have who? Jonathan Joseph. They're not Jonathan Joseph.
Being is really honorable. I'm not gonna lie.
Trayvon Diggs, I think we gonna take him over Jonathan Joseph.
I don't know. I think Jonathan Joseph better than Trayvon Diggs. After years, you know what I'm saying? The years, how many years?
I can't ride with that. Toby.
How many years Trayvon Diggs they had versus how many years Jonathan Joseph
with that. I can't. Jonathan Joseph, I didn't see him get cooked.
What was the score of the Texans, of the 2011 Texans? I don't think you ever said they scored.
It was like, let me make sure. Let me check it. It was like 20 point. We were number 5 in the league. We were like 20.6. Let's make sure.
So it was higher than the Cowboys?
My point is that Texans arguably have better players at the most important positions in football. Think about linebacker. Who had the best linebacker?
I'll make sure.
Probably y'all. Probably Cowboys.
Yeah, we had Sean Lee.
Probably Cowboys.
Sean Lee.
Well, no, Brian Cushion. He was pretty.
Yeah, you're tripping.
Kind of dumb, but pretty solid.
That's
20.3.
We have Mario Williams.
The Cowboys they had the second highest DVOA in 2016. They were 24. We were 20.3 in 2011. 24 is the highest out of both of our teams. It's the highest possible for obviously in this era. Not probably the 90s. You were in the 30s. You were number 2 in the league behind the New England Patriots. So in theory, when they looked at who you faced, this is more specific to the regular season, obviously more than the postseason. But when it looks at who you faced and how you played them, because you played good teams. You faced a good Pittsburgh team. Remember when you beat the Pittsburgh? I don't think you beat Green Bay that year. You beat some good teams during that year. So you were definitely a better team and a great team. That was
what
a
year
great
is that?
team. 2016.
I mean, if the argument is who should have won out of the Cowboys and the Texans, then that's a different argument. But if we're talking about why the Texans haven't won, then
there are many factors.
Did you think the 2011 Texans team was better than the 2016 Cowboys team?
No, I don't think
so. You think the Cowboys would have beat the Texans?
It would have been a close game. It would have been a close. It would have been. Let's stop with the look. It would be competitive. I think the Texans can win. I'm saying the Cowboys are a better team, but I think the Texans can win. But obviously, things went down at the end. I can't do too much of an accurate thing because TJ Yates started, and then obviously he's not matched up, so things started to fall apart there.
But Jesse, with that same point, that's what I'm saying. We had a team. If that's not our best team, then we had a more moderate team that showed it could go blow for blow with you. So that our best historical team in the last decade or so might can, but literally the 2018 team that has a -5 put the beating on y'all.
Be serious.
No,
Matt Schaub would have stomped the niggas, bro. Can we be serious?
No, Matt Schaub was playing is a little different, but TJ Yates starting dropped.
This is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about with Matt Schaub.
With Matt Schaub, I think it'd be. I mean, y'all are still really good. It could go either way. I think at that point, I think it'd be like. I think it'd be up to 23 or 24. I think we'd be up to 23 or 24.
I think
rising up 3 is high. But
so
like 31-17.
But the point of the matter, is that you're talking about y'all need time to win, but y'all had an established team multiple years. It's not like
I know there's many factors.
It's not like y'all were still struggling in the draft. Y'all had a great team. The only reason y'all didn't win is because of who y'all played. That's it. It's not because of time, though. Because if you look at the Browns, okay, what about the Browns then?
Well, the Browns, you gotta look at the Browns differently. The Cleveland Browns is really the Cleveland Browns you're talking about is really the Baltimore Ravens. They moved. In 1999, the Cleveland Browns it was an expansion team. They just took all of Cleveland's past history. When Cleveland went to Baltimore 4 years later, they won a Super Bowl. But Cleveland, the actual Cleveland Browns, this is a 1999 team. Their first pick was Tim Couch, quarterback. Obviously, they're the second in technicalities. They're the second newest team behind us. It's just, they bought their original rights. It's like us buying the Oilers. It's like a new team. It's like we start an expansion team. We buy the Oilers, right? We become the Houston Oilers. We take all of Tennessee. We take all of the Oilers history type of thing. Because obviously Tennessee Titans are the former Houston Oilers, right? So it's similar if we did that. Say when the Texans got picked, say we say, oh, we want the Oilers name. Okay, we're an expansion team still, but let me have all your history. So I want all your history because I want to still be called the Oilers and have all the players coming in, whatever. So, I mean, the Browns are obviously a mess as well. Their regime's terrible. But if you're looking at technically the Cleveland Browns you're talking about is the Baltimore Ravens, and they won 2 Super Bowls with the regime and Ozzie Newsome and all them boys and that regime. Because immediately as they moved out of Cleveland, they drafted Jonathan Ogden and Ray Lewis in the first round. 2 Hall of Famers immediately when they went to Baltimore. So
the other 10 teams that haven't won a Super Bowl, they were all expansion teams as well?
Well, at one point, everyone was an expansion team.
No, I'm talking about since the 60s or whatever.
Well, you can also add like this because there are 4 other teams that won, but I'm not counting NFL championships like the 50s and 40s and 30s. I'm counting the Super Bowl era. So in the Super Bowl era, so in the 60s, every team has been like the Saints took them like 43 seasons to get their Super Bowl, get that good regime. They were a down team forever. I hope it don't take 40 seasons, but they were down forever and then they finally won. Or Tampa Bay took 27 seasons, or a lot of these teams, because I don't expect this to be dynastic. Like I don't expect a dynasty ever in the Houston Texans, but to just get one good regime where their team is really good. The Saints took like a whole grown man's life, 40 seasons to finally be called a good team. Have Drew Brees,
Jesse, I feel like that just tips the hat to, like John likes to ice over the teams we had to play. Like John, you say your teams are a lot more difficult, but they're all a tier below the Dynasty Patriots and the Dynasty Chiefs. All of them are a tier below. Like if you walk up steps, your teams in your conference are the step before the Patriots and the Chiefs. Okay? So it's easy for you to go Duke for Duke.
You talking
and
about
probably get a chance for a Super Bowl.
A team in our division? A team in our division never lost to the Patriots?
I'm talking about the NFC. You're talking about the team that never lost to the Patriots. Who are you talking about right now? You're talking about the Eagles.
Oh, but the Giants. That's
all right.
Once is luck, but twice is come on, like. That's a
you're not
point,
having to play them to get to the Super Bowl. That's my point. Huh?
Yeah, I understand that, but let's say the 2019 to 2020 season, right? Didn't y'all beat that same Patriots team?
But that Patriots team obviously they lost to Tennessee immediately. Okay. So it's like they're
okay.
Oh, you said the 2019?
Yeah, 2019, 2020.
We're not going to talk about the end of their
but they still had Tom Brady.
I know, but they still weren't, even though they had Tom Brady.
And then we seen what Tom Brady did. He went to another team and won one.
I know, but it's a different team.
So that team wasn't good?
No, but they had a different team. That Tom Brady, the Patriots team was good, but they obviously, you can't, you use them, and that's great, but it's more of a name at that point, because the Patriots at the end of the season weren't as good as they were in the beginning. If you remember that Patriots team that started off 8-0,
yeah,
everybody was making fun of the Patriots or saying things about the Patriots because of the fact that they were facing a lot of easy teams until the end of the schedule. End of the schedule went 4-4, and they dropped from the 1 seed. They dropped down. Because they had to face in the wild card round. They went from the 1 seed to being in the wild card round.
They lost to the Dolphins.
Yeah, so they lost. They go 8-0.
So they could have been in the second round.
But they went. If you go 500, you start the first 8 games you 8-0, and the next second 8 games you go 500, and we just capitalized on your down period. Now we didn't start when they 8-0. We here with 4-4. Now obviously weren't all that good. They 4-4, and then they face Tennessee and they lose at home. So it's kind of like they're a good team. I'm not saying they're a bad team, but they're not like. Yeah, I think you're trying to pull out. These are the dynastic Patriots.
And then, like John, and then you're kind of proving my point too.
Wait, what was their last time winning?
Who won the Super Bowl that year?
2019 was the Chiefs.
Exactly.
No, but when the last time the Patriots won a Super Bowl?
The thing is, look, and you could say this because you say, okay, last time was 2018, but you can't.
Was that the year
compare?
Before?
Yeah, you can't compare team by team. Things change, injuries happen, players regress. Obviously, the offense wasn't as elite as it was in 2018, so you can't compare.
It's only 1 year before.
I know, but you can never compare.
You're acting like it's 2 or 3 years later. It was only 1 year before.
But even you can't compare. You have to.
If you want to talk about the Chiefs, let's talk about the Chiefs game, right?
Okay.
The Texans were up 24-0. They were up 24 points, right?
Okay.
Okay. So obviously y'all could have won that game.
But
is that a true statement?
We could, but you agree the Chiefs are. It's not like they did to us and they never did that ever again. You agree the Chiefs are extremely explosive offense.
There is
like they can rack off points.
I agree, but I'm saying
giving up a 24-0 lead.
Obviously, that's a choke job. I'm not gonna tell you that's not a choke job.
Definitely one of the biggest in NFL.
That's a choke job, and that is a detriment on us. And that's why I say there's multiple factors. I'm not saying us being new is the only reason we don't succeed.
And didn't y'all face the Chiefs that year?
Yeah, but it's a regular season versus postseason.
Yeah, but I'm just painting a picture. You acting like this Texans team was a bad team, bro.
They're not a bad team.
This Texans team was a solid team.
They're
not overrated. How are they overrated?
Look. You face the teams. You can beat the Patriots, but you gloss over teams like facing teams like Denver beating us by 30 at home. Like you
give up games, bro. That's
I know, but
everybody give up games. Like
you can give, but look, the thing is
when it matters.
When you look at the whole metrics, because this is why you look deep dive into metrics. Because I'll give you an example. No, I'll give you an example. The Minnesota Vikings. You think the Minnesota Vikings overrated? This year's Minnesota Vikings, were they overrated team?
I think so. I mean, in the regular season, I think they're a great team, but
they're overrated.
I didn't see them going far.
They were looking at. I was watching a lot of these Viking games, and the way they winning these games, they're an overrated team. That thing was negative 13. They won 10, 11 games. They're negative 13. Faced the Giants, eliminated immediately because they overrated. So I'm saying, look, y'all. I would tell you this about y'all. Y'all haven't had many overrated teams. Y'all teams are rated. I haven't seen unless y'all are bad. Unless y'all are just a bad team, then y'all usually have a positive thing.
Should I go back to what we was talking about way earlier?
I don't know. I forgot what that conversation. What was that conversation about? What was that about?
Go ahead.
Okay, but if you want to say, you can use an example, maybe the 2018 Texans. If you look at their defense, the defense of the 2018 Texans was really good, had the best run defense in the league. Their offense wasn't that. They were in the negatives on offense, but barely in the negatives. So they were below average a little on offense, but they had a really great defense. You want to use that as an example. But the 2019 Texans, their defense was abysmal. Their offense was barely above average when you do all the metrics. And you look at all that, that team is not the best out of all of the Deshaun Watson teams. The 2018 Texans is the best out of all those teams. So if you want to use that as an example, then you can use that as an example. That makes more sense.
You mentioned a metric. I don't really care about that though. I care about
why not care about the
numbers?
Like
I've seen the Texans beat the Bills.
How many games have you watched Texans? How many games did you watch Texans play that year? How many games?
Like half of their games.
You watched half. I
watched them compete against the Chiefs. I watched them beat the Patriots. When they faced, you're gonna say, "Oh, they lost to the Broncos." That's fine, but okay. What about the Ravens? Was that the year they faced the Ravens?
Yeah, then we got blown out.
Smacked by the Ravens.
Yeah, tier 2. Tier 1 against them.
The games that matter when they faced the Chiefs, they lost maybe by a touchdown or something. Like the game was competitive for the most part. So now you can look at that same game plan.
Nate, can you name another game besides those 2 games? Can you name another game besides those 2 games?
I can't remember.
Because there's no other games to talk about. There's no other impressive wins. Beating up on Jacksonville twice and beating up when the Colts ain't as good anymore. They're like beating up on these teams. That's what the Texans been known for.
The Titans. Did they beat the Titans that year?
I mean, they beat out them for wins.
Because Derrick Henry had a 40-yard game against them boys.
It don't matter what he did. They won.
Tennessee won.
Tennessee.
They won. Yeah,
they beat that, and they had a close. They literally had a close game against the Saints. Like they barely lost.
We lost.
They barely lost on some fluke stuff. And you were upset. Why did they lose, Jesse?
Why did
they lose?
Because our defense came up there.
Because he did the stupidest thing that you could. He had a He had a JR moment. And then he didn't even touch the dude after he caught the ball. So more time went down. It was something crazy like that. I can't really remember. But he had a JR moment. The point is, I watch these games. I see the game against the Saints. It was super close. Like, y'all barely lost. It took Drew Brees, locking in to the fullest, but y'all barely lost. Now, fast forward. I don't care what happened in the regular season. You had an opportunity. You had a 24.0 lead with a top 3.
You don't care about having a regular. Ain't that sample size? If you get a 16 game sample size, you get a 16 game sample size of how good you are, and you don't care about that at all.
No. Why? You're in the playoffs now. What I'm saying is, if they would have lost to the Bills, then I would agree with you. They beat the Bills and they had a 24.0 lead. This is still a solid team.
We choked, but at the same, even though we look, I hear what you're saying. It's a solid team, but you put in them a little. What tier is that Texan team?
Bro, what tier? You got the best receiver in the league, and you got a top 5 QB, and you had a premier left tackle.
It ain't work. Aaron Rodgers had premier tackle.
It worked for Patrick Mahomes.
But that's Patrick Mahomes. That's tier 1.
Aaron Rodgers had that up there with them.
Aaron Rodgers had
that. Not, bro. Deshaun Watson was top 5 in the league.
If Aaron Rodgers has that and he can't win, why are you expecting us to have it?
No, but it's
Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is
any given Sunday. People like to talk about football like talent, but talent isn't like talent isn't end all be all, and it isn't end all be all. But then they get in moments like this, and then they bring up the metrics, and you know what I'm saying, and say at the end of the day, the metrics was the reason. No, football is any given Sunday. I've seen many different times that there'll be years when the best team does not win the championship. You know what I'm saying? The Giants won the championship many years, and none of the metrics were the best team.
Rebuttal is it's any given Sunday, but with the best squad, your Sunday is gonna be more often than not. All right,
metrics not matter at all.
With the best squad, you got the number 1 quarterback, not a top 5 with the Chiefs. The number 1 tight end, not a top 3.
Tyreek Hill top 3. Tyreek Hill top 3.
I don't want y'all to bring up that Chiefs game when we talk about this. Y'all should reference another game because there is no excuse for 24. Y'all say it's a choke job, so that's dead.
No,
that's
bro,
dead. Y'all that's dead because you cannot excuse. Like at that point, you get up 24-0 on a team halfway through the second quarter. Like even if y'all don't win that game, you shouldn't lose that game by 21 points. You know what I'm saying? That is selling beyond.
I mean, yeah, it is a choke job.
Definitely, it was a check out mentally for the team. Yes, I'll agree. After you see your team start to lose and they start to coming back, there is a check out at a certain point.
Listen, we could have took knees. We could have took knees for the rest of that quarter, and they would score less points than they did with us actually running plays.
If we took knees, they would score every. They scored on every possession.
They scored on a punt return. They scored the next time they got the ball, like damn near immediately,
every possession,
and then they scored again. Yeah, but if we take knees, then we hold the clock. It's like running the ball.
What was your offense rated that year?
This is you talking about yards per game, or you talking about like the actual like metric? You talking about you talking about where were they in yards per game, or you talking about the DVOA metric?
No, I'm just saying, like in general, like what was their offense rated? Like we could say the Chiefs probably had the number one offense.
Oh, for sure.
Like
our offense
were y'all up there? Like top five-ish?
It might have been like 8.
I don't think you were top. Let me look. I'm gonna look at yards per game. I'm gonna look at the DVOA. I'm gonna look at the difference.
It might be
because the thing about yards per game, it can get skewed because obviously, as you know, you can. Yeah, you can.
I mean, I'm not. Yeah, eye testing. Like
no, but like
you have to know if you have a great offense or not. Like,
no, but the thing is, I'll tell you, like, because you are an eye test guy. There's like that debate. It's usually in basketball though. It's like eye test versus the metrics, and I like to try to mix them because I can tell the Texans' offense was good. But then when Will Fuller would get hurt, it was like one of the worst offenses in the league.
Oh my God.
It would be consistent like that. So Will Fuller, depending all that on Will Fuller, when he did get hurt, our offense dropped. And then if you look at DVOA, it says we were 0.6, so we're very slightly above average. But the funny thing is like that's the only year we had a positive thing too. Literally the year before our defense was the I don't know what issue. It was usually Will Fuller's injury. That's the reason why our offense went down, which is freaking ridiculous.
Play against the Chiefs?
That's fair.
I think he did. Let me see.
He did in the playoffs, yeah.
But he was still hurt.
So y'all had y'all good offense. So that's all I'm saying is like if you want to say
okay, but
John, I would concede if y'all never had a good team. Y'all consistently had great teams.
We didn't have but that's what you're saying. Great.
We've had good teams.
We've had a couple good teams and a bunch of mediocre teams. We've had how many teams? Wins compete when you can't really compete. You see the Ravens
when you're up 24 points. That's competing.
Okay, now give me another situation. Give me another situation. Give me another situation besides that.
What do you mean?
You said good team. You didn't say team. You said teams. So give me other situations.
We was a 2011 team.
Before you even go
injury. But you say injury.
You even go past that. Like let's think about where the Texans, even with Deshaun Watson, Will Fuller, and DeAndre Hopkins. Were they a team that looked like they could go down there and score on every possession of a half?
Wait,
did they ever look like they could do that?
DeAndre Hopkins, Deshaun Watson team.
You talking about the guy they compared to Michael Jordan? That guy?
But who compared to Michael Jordan besides his head coach? See, you try to add something in the past. That hurts your argument. You can't.
Bro, Deshaun Watson was looked at as a premier player. Bro, that's why the Browns gave up so much for him. Like, this was
desperate.
It's not desperate, bro. I seen an article that said
Patrick Mahomes better than Deshaun Watson.
Oh my God!
Patrick Mahomes. So like, why we?
But Patrick Mahomes can lose, bro. I think Deshaun Watson is better than Joe Burrow. I don't know about now, but I just on the totality. I think I'd say.
I don't know.
So you don't think he's better now than he was, but he was better than Joe Burrow in year 4 when Joe Burrow was with it. Year 2?
Who you asking this question
to? I'm John. You said you think Deshaun was better than Joe Burrow, but you don't think he is now. But you think
I don't know about now. Like we haven't seen it. Like he missed a lot of time.
Joe Burrow in year 2.
When I watched him now, he didn't look that impressive. But I mean, he needs time to get back in rhythm. You know, he got a lot of mental stuff going on. I'm not gonna say now, but I'm saying like peak Deshaun Watson
was a good quarterback, but
Joe Burrow. I think Deshaun Watson was better.
I think
you give him.
I think I'd give Joe Burrow.
Okay, well, I'll agree to disagree on that.
That's definitely. There's no real metric to even show.
He's a top. He was a top 5 QB.
I would say Joe Burrow was.
But there's more. There's more. Remember, there's more to it than just being a top 5 QB and having a receiver.
And I couldn't
Aaron Rodgers.
The Texans beat the Chiefs. Like
I just think playing devil's advocate. If you look at
you can beat a team in the regular season, and that's great. But like, if you say, okay, the Texans had Deshaun Watson, had DeAndre Hopkins, they had a left tackle. If like I say, we cooking Aaron Rodgers had a great lead. He faced Seattle, had a big lead. Them boys blew that lead in 5 minutes, 16-point lead in 5 minutes, rather than us 24. We blew into 12. They blew a 16-point lead in 5 minutes, and with that, he had a left tackle, premier left tackle, and he had good receivers. So the thing is like, there's a lot of other factors besides just using like the defense wasn't good. We didn't have a good defense that year, as you can see when they dropped 51 on us in very quick fashion. Our defense was not very good. So the thing is like that team is. I'm not saying that team's a bad team, but it is an overrated team. Now, slightly overrated. It's -5, not -10. It's not like the Vikings are -12. You want to bring up the 2018 Texans? That's the best version of Deshaun's Texans. That's a team that you could say, hey, look, and that's when we lost to the Colts. Deshaun Watson could not read his own defense. And I remember you kept telling me about Deshaun Watson and his flaws, but now we hype him up now. But you tell you a flaw. You were roasting me about his flaws back in the day when I was a big Deshaun Watson fan. But now, he's top. I feel, hey, it's fine.
No. I did. I'll say it now. I said he didn't have success in the playoffs. That's what I said. But I cannot make an argument. Like if you go and beat the Bills, like he came back. The Bills.
Didn't you make fun of Josh Allen? Didn't you make fun of Josh Allen and say he was selling his soul in that game?
Which game? He did. He literally pitched the ball backwards. Like that's
that helps. You said that was overrated. Did you say that was overrated? Did you say that
y'all had an overrated win? I did not say that. I said the defense stepped up for that game. That's all I said.
You said Deshaun Watson didn't. Oh, you said Deshaun Watson didn't step up. He didn't.
Oh, you saw him spin off 2 defenders and go and get a first down. I didn't say that was overrated. No. I said the defense carried. That's exactly.
What you say about me and Casey were hyping up Deshaun Watson, saying he was clutch, and then you started shutting it down, saying the defense, right?
I probably did shut it down.
So like,
but I'm not talking about just Deshaun Watson. I'm saying if you have a team that scores 24 points on the best team in the NFL, you beat you. The fact is, y'all beat the Bills.
Was that not fluky when you saw that 24 lead? Was that not some fluky stuff?
It don't matter if it was fluky. You still did it. It's not like the Texans at that time. The Texans were a good team. Is that true or not? The Texans were a good team.
The Texans were a good team. They were an overrated good team.
It's fluky. It's like a bad team doing it.
I see the.
But if you consistently going to do it, like the Titans, you can't say it's fluke. Because they're consistently doing it.
That wasn't fluke, but if you rack off 24 points against the Chiefs and then they rack off 51 points against you, like, are you like that's a strong amount of anomalies.
Team, but I'm saying that's y'all flaw. That's why y'all haven't won any Super Bowls. That's what I'm saying. It's not a timing thing.
Tier 2. I think we're tier 2. We're not tier 1. If you never thought we would ever, I know you always bring up that one moment in time of 24-0. But realistically, you never really thought that the Texans had a shot. Just go into the postseason, right? Did you ever think the Texans had a good chance?
When would you put your money on the Texans
to go to AFC Championship, Super Bowl? Did you ever think the Texans?
When I saw them beat the Patriots,
you really thought that?
I didn't say y'all were going to the Super Bowl, but I'm just saying, like that's when I seen like this is a solid team, bro.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the road we want to go down. Like if
y'all had DeAndre Hopkins, bro.
I know, but I mean that's not enough.
I just don't know if that's the argument y'all want to take, because if there's ever been a point that the Cowboys, we've looked at them and respected them and seen them as being a team that was possible to win a championship in the past 17 years. Wouldn't that mean that in the past 17 years, the Cowboys organization would be looked at as better than the Texans? Like the one thing we're trying to argue is that,
I mean, that's the point, and they haven't won anything. So are they truly better, or are they just truly more stars? So my thing is, we're looking at the Texans on seeing their peaks and why they haven't failed and what were their failures. And I'm hearing it's a great team and we had a bad front office. But
I think if you would have asked
a good team / a great team in y'all's conference, and we're not hearing any reasons why y'all haven't been able to get.
But wait. If you would have asked me, like, think about it like this. If you would have asked me, like, okay, name 2 teams that haven't won a championship. Jesse, you know better. You know better than me. I know the Browns haven't won one. Name another one.
Oh, man,
the Bills.
Okay, if you would have asked me right now, what organization do y'all see is like? Do y'all look at more fondly? Do y'all think it's better, the Bills or the Browns? I think 99% of people would tell you the Bills. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And y'all would say neither one of them have won a championship, right? But there's levels to ineptitude. You feel me? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the fact that neither one have won a championship. That doesn't mean the Browns are better than the Bills because they've had more excuses because they're a new team. No, they're just inept. You feel me? So like in those past 17 years, both teams have been inept, but arguably Dallas has shown more consistency as being closer to being able to attain that higher level of success, which would tell you as a person that this organization in the past 17 years is better. Period. You feel me?
Yeah, I believe the Cowboys are a better organization.
Which is why, like that argument y'all made, I wouldn't have used that.
Wait, whose argument? Whose argument?
I wouldn't have did that.
I mean, they can have a better organization, but like I said, they're not facing equally the same talent. Like,
yeah, I mean, AFC South has been like universally known as one of the top 2 easiest conferences in football.
Our 8-9 seasons, 9-8 seasons of us fighting in the regular season. Those boys,
those over 8 teams, them Texan teams that won 9 games, and they're really in the negatives. Them Texan teams won 9 games, and the Chiefs 30-0 blank. It's just like, they didn't really, like, but the division is very easy.
You're having to fight to literally get your ass smacked in the playoffs by these juggernauts. Like, and y'all are one of these juggernauts in y'all conference, and every time in the playoffs, y'all getting y'all ass beat by Aaron Rodgers. So I'm not understanding, like, who's like, y'all can't come up with a game plan.
Both organizations are fighting their front offices.
The Hall of Famer.
Both organizations have ineptitude in their front office. I would say the Dallas.
Is your team more talented than the Packers?
Yet they've shown more consistent success. What would that tell you? That would tell you that they have a stronger foundation, that they're a better organization, because even through the midst of their problems, they're able to be, I would say, decent. You feel me?
Now, would you call them in the same team? I'm not going to do the status quo and tell you the definition of insanity, but like, what are we doing here? They're in a loop right now of losing, successfully losing. Kudos, but there's no trophy with that. So at the end of the day, if you pair the teams up, I feel like the peak teams, our peak teams will compete. Like you're saying, the 2012 was technically statistically our best team, but we've seen one of the Texans teams beat the Cowboys team in their prime or the year after their prime.
That 2018 team. No, you can't. Like that 2018 Texas team beat the Dallas team, and they were better. But that wasn't peak Dallas though. Dallas wasn't as good. I don't know. I think Zeke, I don't know. Something happened with Zeke, or something happened. But that 2018 team is not.
I don't know what they had. They still had Dak, or was that?
We didn't have Amari at that time.
Yeah,
what's his name? Cooper Rush. They had Cooper Rush starting.
No, they had Dak.
Dak was playing. We didn't have Amari Cooper at that point.
Yeah, that 2018 team is not so you can't really compare like that. If you were comparing peaks, that's not a peak. It's not even a year after the peak. It's 2 years after. If you wanted to do that, I don't even know if you wanted to do that.
I guess. I mean, that offensive line was still smacking. So
yeah, when they were healthy.
I think they weren't healthy that year either. So I think it was a lot of issues there.
It's like JJ not being healthy. I mean, we got to flip the coin on it, right?
Yeah, you know,
good defensive top 5 line, good offensive line,
greatest receiver in the league. So
hey, look, you can hype that 2019 team, but you know what? I'll tell you this: JJ Watt getting injured and Clowney getting traded for a bag of chips, and Whitney Mercer's not having no pass rush skills to save his life, and completely eviscerating the run defense and our pass rush is terrible. That 2018 team, or 2019 team, and the 2018 team, the 18 team's clearly better, especially because on the defensive side of the ball, when they had Clowney and they had Watt and they had Merciless and they had Tyrann Mathieu and they had Justin Reed, all them boys, and you just got rid of them. Tyrann Mathieu went to the Chiefs and bring him on Super Bowl immediately.
But I feel like that team right there, I feel like that's a competitor with any of Dallas teams. Like, and I feel like that's more so to compete.
The 2018 team?
And I feel like that could more so compete better than like the 2012 team, just because how the 2012 team was built for games back then, run first. Now it's a pass first offense.
At 2011, you see the 2011 team with that defense and Brian Cushing and D'Amico Ryans and J.J. Watt and Mario Williams and Brooks Reed and Connor Barwin and Tobias hype of Jonathan Joseph and Daniel Manning, all that defense, Bulls on Parade defense. That was like one of the best defenses I'd ever seen. Obviously, Baltimore had a better defense, but that defense, which was stifling people, I always remember this when we faced Baltimore and they were at the 1 yard line, 4th and goal. Ray Rice gave it up, and Brian Cushing just picked up Ray Rice, pushed him back. I said, "Yo, this defense, we're not gonna win this game because TJ Yates keeps on."
I know, but if
that
you
defense
me
is serious.
2012,
and Arian Foster and Ben Tate. Aaron Foster with 1,200 yards, and Ben Tate with 1,000 yards. He got 2 almost 1,000-yard rushers. I don't know. That's the best team.
I was saying 2012, that was still a more commodity where everything was more, what's it called? What they say, what Bill O'Brien said, complementary football. Run, pass, special teams. Nowadays, it's more air parade. You feel me? Spray the ball out, spray the ball out, spray the ball out. So that defense is nice, but it would have been nice against maybe the 5 running teams that are in the league right now. You feel me? True running teams in the league. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about like the Cowboys spray the ball out offense. I feel like that 2018 team would have done better.
They would have done better. Do you know what's the strength of that 2018 team?
Offense.
That's not their strength at all.
I feel like it would be with DeAndre Austin and Will Fuller. I mean,
Will Fuller played
put up
6 games.
43 points.
They've never scored 40 points. They only scored 40 points probably like 2 times.
Okay, yeah, I feel like they could. I was saying,
but you can't feel it. You got to show it.
But can we not say that there's an untouched potential that they had versus the 2012?
No, but look, the potential versus what I saw, what actually happened, and the stats that back it up different. No,
then that's what we got to use in this what's it called? Theoretical debate. Like we can't put these two teams together, but we got to see their potential.
The 2018 team strength is their run defense. That's their strength. A run defense. Period.
I mean, that is their
strength. That is their strength. They were one of the best in recent memory.
But they also scored the ball very well. That was one of the best.
They scored the ball decently well, but they were great on defense. I don't know.
Oh no, you're right. They're right because they scored well because a lot of turnovers, but they didn't ever get a lot of picks. If you really realize that, it was a lot of forced fumbles, and you don't really get too many forced fumbles like you get a lot of picks. Texans have never been good at picks, so I remember that they got a lot of stops, but it was really the offense doing the shit, carrying and scoring.
You tripping again. It's not the offense carrying nothing, but it's the defense carrying. I'm sorry. The offense was good. The offense was I'm not saying the offense was bad, but the defense is like the reason that they won. And we won 9 straight games. Yeah, it was definitely.
You say it was 9 games or 9 quarters without the team scoring. Was that year? It was 2018 where they went like 9 quarters or something. That shit was pretty wild.
Because if you look at opponent points per game, I'm looking at it now. We were fourth in that in the league. So obviously stopping people is great. We were top 5 in the league. Now our offense isn't bad. It was 11 on this. Obviously in points per game, 11. So that doesn't count offense. That counts as everything because you can obviously get pick 6 and whatever. But our points per game is 25. But our opponent's points per game is 4th in the league. So we're obviously great defensive team. But our offense, if you remember that game against Indianapolis, is what stopped us. We only scored 7 points in that playoff game.
And you already said Will was hurt.
And when Will Fuller get hurt, the offense go to hell. That's Will Fuller is the big reason.
A quarterback has 3 years to throw the ball. Like that's one of the things. Like potential versus reality hurts because when you see the reality of human nature and getting hurt, it kind of affects. But like I can't say the same thing because I guess you could say Cowboy players went down. You got Ezekiel Elliott, but I'm just saying like injuries do affect the potential of a team.
But if you have a guy who's consistently injured, then you should just that should be what you just count. Like that guy is always injured, so you can't really Will Fuller. When Will Fuller played, it was 27 a game. When Will Fuller was gone, it was 17 a game. Like that's crazy that one person dropped your offense by 10 points a game.
That's a fair point. That nigga, he created magic.
But hey, Tobias less than Will Fuller though. Tobias he's less than Will Fuller. He wanted his resign. I was like, you out your mind, boy. I'm not resigning that boy. That boy is
y'all was tweaking. Listen.
No, I'm sorry. No. I can't listen. Yeah, he hasn't played since. That's crazy. He hasn't played football since then.
Single-handedly, the only reason the Texans they thought Deshaun was the reason. Like he was a big reason, but like realize it was that connection, bro. And then DeAndre would open up the seams. You know what I'm saying? Because he would garner all that attention. But then Will Fuller was the top threat that we had, and Deshaun was real good.
The speed demon. Yeah, we know what the formula was.
Nah,
just reality.
Niggas thought you could
get
how many people we done drafted since Will Fuller, and they thought it was gonna be the same. It ain't been the same since. It ain't that. It's something different. That boy legs was different.
He's a big reason we had an overrated offense. He was a big reason we had an overrated offense because we were so dependent on one person.
He was able to be healthy. We'd have had.
But that's not a thing that existed though. You can't. If he was able, he wasn't able to
catch the ball consistently. Maybe we would have had 32 points a game.
I just say all he had to do,
one thing he liked to do was drop it.
Was tell that boy to run just a smidge slower. He ran so fast, his hamstrings broke.
That's his fault. That's that man's fault. Our offense literally predicated on Will Fuller's help.
You cannot.
If we didn't have Will Fuller, we'd be bad. Our offense was bad without Will Fuller.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
That's stupid. You can't have one guy.
I mean, no. That's like saying the Titans' offense would be bad without Derrick Henry.
It would be bad.
No, are you comparing?
Exactly my point. But that's
no, but who are you
That's
comparing? You comparing Derrick Henry to the Tennessee offense to Will Fuller to the Texan offense?
Okay.
But Will Fuller being gone didn't make us bad. It made it where we couldn't be great. We were still decent.
No, we became a bad. It was 27 a game, which is good, to 17 a game, which is bad. It was a drop without Will Fuller. We were noticeably worse at offense without Will Fuller. We try to replace him with Demaryius Thomas, but Demaryius Thomas won 2012.
I want to hear what you're saying now. You saying that our offense without Will Fuller was so bad that we dropped 10 points a game, yet this boy wasn't worth $10 million a year. That is ridiculous.
He's injured. So why am I putting money into this guy if he's always hurt every year?
I mean,
because the boy is responsible for a 10-point difference in your points per game.
He's playing 7 games. Give me 10 points.
Listen. Why do they pay Zion? He fucks porn stars. He don't play. He always hurt. Why do they pay him? Because when he does play, he drops 28. It's the same thing with Will Fuller.
No, bro.
It's not. Look, Will Fuller is not. If you talking about maybe like a Hopkins or like a, but Will Fuller
10 points per game difference.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, look.
I literally had to get on the game he played because he would literally drop touchdown.
You cannot say the stat and get mad at me for telling you the stat is important.
So no, it's important if he played 16 games or 15 games or 12 games. He plays 6-7 games.
Listen to
so
me. Listen to me.
That's what, you could try to do that, but then you need to win regular season games. It ain't basketball. You need to win these games in regular season.
If he played great, right? But his impact wasn't that great, and he never played. Let's say he was like a great empty stats player, right? I would understand you. I'm like, he always hurt. He not really impacting us that much. Fuck him. You don't need to pay him. But if he is that impactful, and the only thing that is stopping him from being great is injuries, you know what you do? You figure out how to not let that nigga get hurt. You put that nigga on a vegan diet like Chris Paul, and you keep him.
How did that work for Arian Foster?
Huh? Well, he ended up sucking. He ended up sucking when he came back. Will Fuller,
ended up being more injury prone because he went on this damn vegan diet. So that kind of hurt him. But my thing is with that, Toby, like you were saying. What are you saying about?
Listen, you seen the injuries Will Fuller was having?
I seen him drop the touchdown
with Brock Osweiler, not with Deshaun.
No, I seen it with Deshaun. Like he had opportunities. He always had his opportunities.
Did you not hear the stats he said? I don't give a fuck about what you saying. Did you hear the stats?
No, I hear that. But what I'm saying is what he could have done and what I seen. Like you're saying these stats. So the balls he caught infected the game, yes. But let's talk about all the ones he dropped. Like, that was the one thing. Like, he's not worth $10 million, Toby. You could get a speedster. The thing is, they replaced the speedster with a possession receiver.
But the ones he catching is responsible for a 10-point difference.
Tobias, get this logic. Tobias, I want you to understand this logic, right? Now, this guy obviously is important, right? I'm not saying he's not important. 27-17 is a drop, right? But if he's playing 7 games a year, now we could say if he like a postseason, like he get hurt early in the year and he's always playing the last 7 games in the regular season into the postseason, that's one thing. But if he getting hurt week 7, week 10, and he out, and you don't see him ever again, and he that's not 1 year, that's 3 years, 4 years in a row. Why am I giving $10 million to a guy who's going to play 7 games and not play ever again?
Somewhere in the internet.
Because even his drops, his drops are bad, but I'm not even pissed about his drops because his speed, it helped, like it threatened the defense enough to make the defense respect it, right? But the fact that he tearing his ACL and he's tearing his leg up and this and that, and the fact he's never played football ever again in the NFL after we didn't sign him. So obviously other teams agree not to sign this guy. What is making you think if 32 teams is not signing this guy after you said let's sign him, and he's always injured? What is the logic of me putting money into an injured cost like that? Why would I do that to myself?
Since we're using the fact that Will Fuller has never played football again, which is hindsight, which is fair. You can use hindsight. I believe it's fair that I use hindsight as well. Well, considering that since Will Fuller has been gone, you feel me? Deshaun Watson that next year played like the whole year, and we still went. I think we did not win more than 6 games. Factually, that happened.
The offense played well that year, though. That was the first year, and Bill O'Brien played the first 4 games with Tim Kelly offense coordinator. That we won 4 games. But that was the best offense we had in the whole regiment with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
So Will Fuller must not have been that. Maybe he wasn't that. I don't know. You can get
I think the wins shows you that. Then the next 2 years we have the 2-14, then followed by another.
That's the defense, and the whole team got bad. The 4-12 year was the defense being bad, and then the next year the whole
I'm just saying we're speaking about hindsight since the not signing of Will Fuller. And it would be one thing if we then did not use that money. If we used that money that we didn't pay Will Fuller with and used it to maybe do something smart, like perhaps sign DeAndre Hopkins for the little bit of extra money he wanted for instead of trading him for a second round draft pick, or perhaps using that money to perhaps put some money into like a cornerback instead of overpaying two left tackles, or stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's ineptitude. You feel me? And we could debate all we want about whether or not they should have like paid Will Fuller, whatever. But I can tell you that every action that resulted after that was ineptitude. Therefore, there is nothing that leads me to believe that in that one action with Will Fuller, they perhaps showed good judgment. No, I believe that if anything, him never playing football again was luck. I believe the stats showed you that anybody in that moment would look and be like, our team isn't that good. We don't pay niggas that much anyway. He deserves to get re-signed. But no, they let him go. And then Deshaun decides, I hate football in Houston. I want to fuck with bitches that like touching, like they like give him you know what I'm saying? And then a whole bunch of bad shit happened.
I think the ineptitude started with the Hopkins trade. I think not re-signing with Fuller is perfectly fine. I think the Hopkins trade, not getting much compensation back, is what started the extreme descent of the Houston Texans. I don't think the Will Fuller thing had anything to do with it. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Right, but why didn't we re-sign Will Fuller? Do you know why? Because we were cheap. Because we were cheap.
Because he took
he wasn't worth it.
He took steroids.
Why did we trade D Hopkins? Because he wanted a little bit more money, and we were cheap. I think Will Fuller showed the trend, the start of the trend. The McNair's being cheap.
This man, we had a whole debate over this man years ago about this, and he still to this day still is with it. I remember that text debate we had on this, and I think Moreland and other people were like trying to cook you, but you were with it though. You were, John. What you think? I'm curious. I know you've been listening, John. I don't know. Does not make sense to sign a guy who's always injured, but maybe I don't know. Like, would you?
I don't know, bro. You said 10 points a game. That's crazy.
But 10 points is a lot, but play 6-7 games.
You only get those 7 games.
Is he gonna be there for the playoffs?
One time.
Probably not.
He's there for one.
Would you re-sign Zion Williamson in the NBA? Would you re-sign him?
I don't know. If I'm the Pelicans, I don't think so. Even if you bring that, I don't know. If I'm the Pelicans, I already signed him. But if I'm the Pelicans, I'm looking to trade him because obviously he's not that guy at this point. If you're consistently injured, the best skills availability. That's what they say. Like, I need you on the field or the court. If you're not on the court or the field, you're stealing money from me essentially. Especially if you're injured every single year. If it's 1 year,
I think people like that mindset. Not. I don't want to say that mindset is stupid because it's not stupid. That's rational thinking. I think that like when problems arise, you know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. Yeah, people with bad jumpers, like certain like technical issues. People think of ways to solve that. All injuries is another issue. He's fragile. This nigga is somebody you should put in the box and put a label on that bitch. Treat with care. Look at Kawhi Leonard. That bitch is built out of leaves. You know what they do? They manage that nigga injuries and look at what.
How do you do that for football when it's an extremely violent sport? It's like a car wreck every time you hit someone.
Well, that nigga Will Fuller, all we had that nigga do was run straight go routes all game.
But someone gonna tackle him unless he score a touchdown every time. Someone gonna tackle him.
But he wasn't getting hit. He wasn't getting hurt on injury plays. He was getting hurt on non-injury plays, and then the other.
So how do you stop that?
That's terrible.
Huh?
And that's terrible. How would you stop that? That's the point.
That's
you
even
can't
worse.
Really control that, Toby.
How would you stop that then? That's even worse.
He's running 40 deep routes a game. You do some strength and conditioning. You do some injury.
You don't think they tried doing that?
Think about Deshaun Jackson. That nigga nowadays, he runs about 10 routes a game. He plays about 10 plays. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna have him run them 10 goals and he done. And all it takes is one. And that's fine. That's all he is, a deep ball player. Why you having Will Fuller run slants? He wasn't scoring touchdowns on slants. He was deep balling. Had that nigga be strictly a deep ball threat. Because that's all we needed him for.
Will Fuller is long gone, and I'm happy for it. Because I'll tell you this, look, I know you. Hey, look, those offenses, the Bill O'Brien offenses, I know Will Fuller was important to them because we needed speed. It was really just speed that was important. You could have gotten someone else who was very fast.
Exactly. That's my biggest thing is you got a possession receiver.
4-2 speeds, it hasn't worked.
But how many people have we had who do you know on this team been 4-2, 4-3?
I want you to look at the draft because I can't name the
I'm
name.
talking about for my team, not the other teams.
The Texans. Go look at the draft. Look at who we drafted. All those receivers.
There's no other receivers, but no 4-3, 4-2s.
Yes, those are.
There's no other receivers. Maybe 4-4, but like I don't know about no 4-3, 4-2s. Like I don't know about
look
that.
at like Isaiah Rose, those rookies we be drafting, they be playing,
but if
bro.
Is that a first round pick or second round pick? Is that a top pick?
Is Will
you can't expect it, even if they fast. We'll fill a first round pick.
He was.
So like if you fast pick with a 4.23, that boy.
Who is that? That's the second high 4.23. That's the second fastest speed in history. Who the heck is that?
We did. How come I hear about him? We had 4.2 speeds on the team. Go look.
Hey, look. I ain't gonna look. I look, and if I come back, it's not gonna be good for you. I'm not gonna lie to you. So hey, Will Fuller is long gone. 32 teams agreed with me, or to not resign Will Fuller. He's long gone. See, if you went to Miami and he was killing it, and he played healthy, then you would be able to cook me. But unfortunately, he hasn't played in the last 3 years. That means he's not that guy. His injuries ruined him, unfortunately. And that's it. We didn't have Hopkins. That's the problem. Fuller, obviously, with Hopkins is great. But when you get rid of Hopkins, that's the reason why.
Yes, when you have Hopkins, you get rid of Fuller. What do you have? 17 points per game. What point is that?
Hopkins was before and after Fuller.
What point is that, Jesse?
No, but look. You could say, but so would you? Who are you keeping? Fuller over Hopkins? Hopkins over Fuller?
Huh? I'm keeping them both. That's what you learned.
No. Who you
keep them both.
No, you can't. Who you keeping? You gonna keep them both, and then he gonna be injured week 8. Who you keeping? Hopkins or Fuller? Since obviously if Fuller is such a big thing, he drops 10 points. We drop 10 points. He's very important. Who's more important? Who do you think is more important? Fuller or Hopkins?
Keep them both. Don't play them for the playoffs. Do something. Figure it out.
You can't do that because
you're
you
not
need to
gonna
win.
make the playoffs.
You're not gonna make the playoffs if you do that.
Both of them, and you ain't gonna have a quarterback.
Well, if he's not playing the whole season and we making the playoffs, what point is that, Jesse? He ain't playing no way. We made the playoffs. So how you say that? How you say that?
Well, Fuller,
how you say that? No. That's what you just said. You said if he didn't play, we would make the playoffs. But he was hurt anyway, and we made the playoffs. So
I said
we would.
Look, obviously, if you're talking about the 2018 team, he got hurt like week 10. You can win a couple games after that. You already have a good record. We're on a 9-game win streak. I told you.
2017. Didn't we make the playoffs 2017 too? Or no?
No, we were terrible in 2017. No.
2019 we made the playoffs or no?
We made 2019.
What week he got hurt that year? I'm pretty sure it was early.
No, he played at the end of the season though.
Huh?
He played at the end of the season. He played
in the playoffs, yeah.
He played, yeah. So
perfect timing. What are you saying? Ain't that perfect timing? Ain't that perfect?
He did it one time. Congratulations. He did it one time. Congratulations.
What time is all you need, Jesse?
No, it's not. We didn't win.
No,
all you need for a championship.
And you had a 24.
And bring that in, Johnson.
Everything.
I had Fuller. I had 24-point lead. I had everything.
You had everything.
Michael Jordan at football.
Patrick Mahomes, exactly. Because I didn't say that. I don't know why you bring that up because that doesn't help you. I didn't say that.
No, somebody said it.
His head coach.
I definitely didn't say it.
Is his head coach biased? Do you think his head coach is biased?
Come on. Somebody was parading that.
No, look, Casey. Hey, I'm not. Look, I can bring up your Cowboy friends saying crazy things too. I didn't say nothing about.
But that wasn't crazy though. Somebody actually said that.
In the first place, I want to know. He caught 2 deep balls. One of them was a touchdown. The other one got him really close. That was that game, the 24 lead in the playoffs. 2 of those plays, that boy had like 160 yards up until that point. I'm just letting you know the greatness of Will Fuller. Y'all hating on my boy like he wasn't the reason y'all was in that position.
Will Fuller,
all right,
man.
And then y'all let him go.
Yes.
He was a speedster.
160 yards, Corey. He was doing that shit. He had multiple games of 200 yards in the same season. Damn. He's like that.
He had multiple games, 200 yards in the same season.
Do you understand that my boy only almost had 1,000 yards in that one year he got hurt? Remember that one year he got hurt in week 10? Look at the yards him and DeAndre had. They almost both had 1,000 easily.
You can have a lot of things, but if you're always injured, what does that really mean? Especially if you had 1 year when you make the postseason, and with him playing. Like the year when we didn't do that, when we went with Demaryius Thomas, we were terrible against Indianapolis. Our offense was awful.
Kawhi Leonard is my reason.
That's basketball.
Kawhi Leonard is my reason.
Kawhi Leonard has degenerative knees.
Even the Chiefs had a good smoke screen and
when he plays, it works out.
No, but Kawhi Leonard
got rid of Tyreek Hill.
You just watch time and pay him till the time it works out. Pay him till the time it comes.
And it hasn't worked out. If you look at what's happened with the Clippers, degenerative knees. No.
San Antonio got a chip.
Degenerative knees, meaning in the beginning his knees aren't bad, but they get worse over time, and they're terrible now. Will Fuller didn't have degenerative knees; he just injury prone. Period.
He just ran his hamstrings out.
And there you go. So why am I paying him?
He was like 23, 24. What do you want to do?
Physical therapy.
This is like debating Jacory about Aaron Rodgers. Is like,
bro, what is a football player? You drafting a football player? What is that? What is that? Is that not an investment? It's not an investment. You have to put money into your investment.
Everybody got their point, and it's just like, yeah, I guess. Because that bet, yeah. Hey, Will Fuller hasn't played in years, so obviously you can't be right if everyone believes the same thing. All 32 teams who all this talent and scouting and all this all believe.
That's my thing. Now he's using hindsight, but I believe that's the thing. Now you can't.
I would have told you. I could have told you that Will Fuller wasn't gonna be that good. I didn't think he'd be out the league, but I would tell you he went to Miami. He would have been playing 4 games.
No, he's definitely like a useful piece, but I do not blame the Texans for not paying him that bread. Like, I don't. Like, I feel like they mismanaged front office. Didn't get another speedster.
10 points per game. I think if you told a GM right now, this player coming on your offense would add 10 points to your point per game, they would fucking get that nigga 30 mil.
You got Will Fuller.
And they'd be out of a job.
Would you say that Tyreek Hill is better or worse than Will Fuller? Would you say that?
Bro, I'm not stupid, bro. Keep going. Go to your next point.
Okay, bro. Okay, thank you then. So if the Chiefs let go of their speedster, Tyreek Hill, what right mind? And they went on to win Super Bowls. What in the blue hell right mind made you think we go keep Will Fuller injury prone? Early at that, and he dropped balls. Tyreek Hill didn't even drop balls like that. No, nowhere near on par as Will Fuller. Why would we pay him $10 million and we seen it add up to success for the Chiefs?
Hey, Tobias, what's the most important month?
When you seen Jesus, when you heard Jesus walked on water, did you blame the water? That's what you sound like. This about Patrick Mahomes, bro, is the reason they gave away Tyreek Hill.
No, he going crazy. Hey, look.
He was the reason.
this man going. Tobias, what's the most important month of the year for football?
I know I need
in the regular season. What's the most important month in the regular season for football?
Shit, it's like March, February. Help me out here, bro. I'm not the best. December, January.
There you go. February. It's December in regular season football. December, right? It's good to go 3-1, 4-0, right? That's what you want to do. Will Fuller never reach in December, and my offense is terrible every time. Why am I doing that? Why am I?
Because that's the thing, though. That's the thing, though. Y'all, you think you.
Oh, he paused because
it's like your general.
Oh, no, he didn't pause. He's back. Okay.
It's like the captain of your police force. He on time. He consistent. You feel me? He gonna be there to deal with the issue at hand. He not that. You feel me? He Batman. He the nigga to come at the end in the nick of time.
But he was always in the beginning.
He was never at the nick of. He wasn't at the nick. Most of the time, he was never at the nick of time.
Because we sucked so bad that we couldn't make it where he had an opportunity.
We made the playoffs with him like 3 times. And
when we did make it with him, guess what happened? 24-0. And then we sold him. Okay. And
he never played it. And he never played again.
Well, what's the alternative if y'all don't sign him?
And he never played again.
What's y'all plans if y'all didn't want to sign him?
Their plan was to not pay DeAndre Hopkins because obviously they weren't going to use that money for anything any more useful. And then their plan was also to basically give away the rest of our football team and go into basically the depths of football hell.
I would have traded what I wanted to do because when I said Hopkins was available for trade, I was excited actually. I wanted to trade Hopkins. The draft was deep. I wanted 2 first-round picks. Get a guy. Justin Jefferson was a guy I think was very interesting to get. And obviously, looking now, dang. But getting the 8th pick from the Cardinals would have been very good to get. Unfortunately, we traded him for a cheeseburger. And since we traded for a cheeseburger, then we really got nothing. We lost everything.
Jesse, stop it. Cheese ain't come on that burger. It was a hamburger. Okay. All right.
So that ruined me completely. So there was no plan. After when they did that and they sold. There was no plan after that. It was all bad.
Yeah, they were in that. So but obviously, them saving that money on Will Fuller worked out very well for them, right, guys? They saved it. They saved them some money. I'm proud of them. I bet. I'm happy. I bet you happy. Kyle McNair got a little bit more money in his pocket right now. You like?
I'm happy. I don't have to look at Will Fuller get injured in Week 10 ever again. I'll take a 2-win season over seeing some little hope. I have some hope, and then the players.
I'm trying to realize that's your hurt talking. That's your hurt talking because basically
that's my logic talking.
Will Fuller would give you hope and dreams. You would see the greatness that your team had with him.
And then he would drop them.
Your dreams would fall because you knew without him you had nothing. You knew that without him y'all were not.
He would drop them in front of your face on national television.
I can't get through.
You knew without my GOAT. You were like Cleveland without LeBron.
You may be trolling. Are you trolling me?
An empty city.
Are you trolling me?
Tobias,
are you trolling me?
What was Houston without Will Fuller? Tell me. 17 points per game.
We would
look, y'all do Ja'Cory. You be trolling me with Aaron Rodgers, and Tobias, you be trolling me with Will Fuller and other things.
Facts with A-Rod.
Yeah, you trolling me. Hey, well, this well, this was
selling my phone by the dollar. I'm trying to save myself.
Yeah, charge your phone. This was fun. John, obviously, we probably just came to an impasse with our debate. It would have been fun to see Casey, because I guess was Casey the one who said that Deshaun Watson was the next Michael Jordan? He said that, right?
I don't know. I could have sworn it was you.
Why would I wouldn't? What the heck,
bro? You even made a hype video for him. What do you like? Come on, Jesse. What do you?
I made a hype video. I made a hype video in what year? 2018. I made a hype video before Patrick Mahomes came in and became the main character. So Patrick Mahomes obviously readjusted everything, and by the time we talked, it was 2019. That was over a year and plus change after that. So,
but I'm just saying, like you thought highly of him.
I thought highly of him, but
very highly. Like you bringing him down now.
No.
But you had him up here. Now you bringing him down right here. You like, oh, we got our guy. You the one who said that.
Yes, I believe he got a good quarterback.
What do you mean by no? You said we got our guy. What did you mean by what did you
franchise mean quarterback? A franchise
quarterback. What did
quarterback.
you think was going to happen with that?
I believe he was a star quarterback. Okay.
That you were gonna.
We have a shot. We have a chance at going to Super Bowl one day. Yes, I believe that's what you need.
Well, if that's the case,
obviously, no, it's not, because
you don't.
You can't just go off on quarterback.
That.
You can't. You got to look at the whole
team.
Aaron Rodgers is
what
the best quarterback.
But what about Patrick Mahomes? You take away Tyreek Hill, he still make it to the Super Bowl.
Okay, Patrick Mahomes, he better than Deshaun Watson.
But I'm saying,
and he got a better offensive system.
Somebody said something about a QB. Like you still have a QB, bro. Like,
and he got.
You had the best receiver. Well, I don't.
The top 5
Travis
quarterback.
Kelce.
He didn't win. Why didn't that happen?
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh Lord.
Oh man.
And, no. Hold on. When was Dak ever a top 5, bro? Come on, that's crazy.
I don't know about
There's been times
that's top.
put him in the top 5.
Only time he was at the top. I'll tell you exactly. When his rookie year, he was highly regarded, but he was not no top 5 QB.
Yeah, you're not top 5, but.
And then the next year, without Zeke, that's when the argument started.
Put in the top 5.
When he lost Zeke 2017, that's when he was brought back down to a level, and everyone's like, oh, he's nothing without Zeke. That's when people started to murmur that. But he was never top 5.
I don't know if he was top 5. He probably top.
He was a great 10. QB, but he never been top 5. Y'all had a QB that was top 5.
I believe, look, Deshaun Watson
definitively
was a top 5 quarterback. I believe Deshaun Watson was a star quarterback, but his football team was a tier below
the top 5
the Kansas City Chiefs,
though.
Baltimore Ravens. I think he probably had two years.
I don't think he was ever top 5. I think he was maybe like 6, 7.
You talking about Deshaun?
No, he had one where he was truly a top 5 quarterback. Every time after that,
somebody call him Michael Jordan. That sounds like top 5 to me.
And that's not me.
Really top 3.
You can bring that up as much as you want.
Even Stephen A. Smith was saying like
you think you thought he was top 3.
Switch.
You think he top 3?
Deshaun and
Isn't Michael Parsons literally a godsend for the Cowboys?
But I don't know.
That's what
if we talk about quote.
Look, and are you saying something that I didn't say either? And I don't know why that top. You talking about Stephen A. Smith? I ain't saying. I have not said.
Well, I'm saying that's somebody in the same field.
That top 5 QB, but is he better? Is he around? Is he? Are you saying he's better than Patrick Mahomes or as good as Patrick Mahomes?
I never said he was better.
But are you saying he's better or is he as good as Patrick Mahomes?
He's a little bit below him, but he's up there with him. A little bit
below him.
He's up there with him. Well, not now, but around that time, yes, he was up
Patrick
there with
Mahomes
him.
in the tier, and he was tier by himself. It was Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers. Those boys were tier by himself.
Aaron Rodgers, I never had Aaron Rodgers up there.
Never had Aaron Rodgers.
Hell no.
Why not?
You know why?
You talking about the quarterback? He literally.
You can put him up there when he plays. That's it.
Aaron Rodgers with those MVP. Look, I know he don't
MVP, but I'm saying I'm not trolling. I'm saying it wasn't translating. At least, and you were asking me this earlier. I had Aaron Rodgers top 3.
So who better, Deshaun Watson, or Aaron Rodgers back in those days?
Aaron Rodgers was better, but I'm just saying, as far as success, I just felt I trusted Deshaun Watson more.
You trust Deshaun Watson more?
You made a smart comment right there. I had to come back for a second.
Out of him and Aaron Rodgers,
we gotta
stop.
Deshaun
Watson over Aaron Rodgers.
We gotta stop. We gotta stop.
Michael Jordan.
That's a clip. That's wrong. That's interesting. That's a clip.
Aaron Rodgers haven't done anything to make me why should I trust him besides that 1 year?
That 1 year was a championship. That 1 year's a lot. I mean, it's enough.
Hey, that's you though.
A factual
that's
statement been made.
At least.
That's your
I mean,
opinion.
yeah, he got it, but I'm saying
really,
I think
I didn't
say
watch
this.
that.
100%
So
of people
from
are
what
say
I
this,
seen later on,
Aaron Rodgers
I never
more than they
seen.
trust Deshaun Watson, especially in your personal life. Moving on.
I'd say if you believe Deshaun Watson, you trust Deshaun Watson more than Aaron Rodgers back then, especially him being like the MVP. If that's you, that's your opinion, and hey, you win. If that's your opinion, you got it. I look that I didn't have him that high, but if you have him that high, then hey, that's tough. That's tough for me.
I think you had him that
At
high.
that point, I
mean,
didn't see Aaron Rodgers
you
carry a
hurt.
team.
I like you.
Aaron Rodgers level? No.
Been,
John, you trying to skew? I had him high. Aaron Rodgers level. Aaron Rodgers was in a team.
He was
That's
two
the
on the
MVP
list.
version of Aaron
talking
Rodgers.
about regular
Deshaun
season
Watson
and all of that, yes.
Deshaun Watson.
But what
Deshaun Watson hasn't done.
since
Aaron
that
Rodgers
point?
has done further in the
Since he
postseason than
won
Aaron
more
Rodgers has.
MVPs.
He's had face y'all in the
Back to
postseason. He
back.
have
But
clutch times.
if Aaron Rodgers was in the AFC, you think he would go as far? No, he wouldn't. He would have the Patriots.
It depends
he would
on
have.
what team.
Yeah, he would make. He can make the. Yeah, he can
But
make
you
the
saying
conference
he did more than Deshaun Watson? But I'm saying, bro,
he can make the conference championship.
He
within the
could
AFC.
do more than
He could definitely
Deshaun
make the
Watson
conference
in the
championship.
AFC.
Okay, what year? If you switch
Deshaun
Aaron
Watson
Rodgers
haven't done much in the
and Deshaun
AFC.
Watson, what year Aaron Rodgers would have made it?
You don't think in 20? I don't know.
Was that 2018? So you put him on that 2018 team? Okay, they would have beat the Colts. Who would they have faced next?
I forgot.
So are they going to beat the Chiefs? Or are they going to beat the Patriots?
So are you saying? Why are you in the next room?
I say you put Aaron Rodgers on a switch. Aaron Rodgers, put him on that Texans team, 2018 or 2019.
Bro, Aaron Rodgers. So you saying Aaron Rodgers? So you saying Deshaun Watson is better than Aaron Rodgers? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say he was better.
Is he the same level? The same level?
Yes. Not now, but then definitely.
He's the same level.
He was definitely
balling. Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Hey, well, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think stats don't believe that.
Nobody does.
If that's your eye
Nobody
test,
does.
That's the eye test you got. Then I can't really say nothing to that because that's.
I mean stats, but like it didn't translate to anything. Yes, he had great stats, but
I mean, like Aaron Rodgers didn't win Super Bowls. Oh, he won a Super Bowl, but he made deep runs. It just lost an NFC Championship. But that's a little.
Yes, but in the NFC,
the NFC was a harder. We said NFC was a harder conference. Back then, we said the NFC was harder. The AFC's just recently been harder.
No, it was more open. It was not harder because you had the Patriots. Like, well, are you saying other teams are coming out? Because you had to go past the Patriots, and then by Deshaun Watson time, you had to go against the Chiefs.
But
That's
the
two teams.
Ain't San Francisco like a really?
What happened? They lose. They haven't beat them.
Just like us, we lose. We lose the Chiefs. We lose much earlier.
That's not the argument, though.
They go to the NFC Championship and lose for we can't even get there. San Francisco
but you said
is
it's harder.
team.
That's not.
The NFC had more.
If we seen the Patriots and we seen the Chiefs, those are the two teams to beat.
Those are the only two teams in that conference.
Exactly.
But there's other teams.
But if you're in the NFC,
the Saints,
like
the 49ers,
Bucks, you have a chance to come out.
What about the New Orleans Saints? That 2018 Saints team was amazing. What about the New Orleans Saints?
They were great for a good time.
They lost to the Rams. They lost to the Rams or the Los Angeles Rams. You talk about the Los Angeles Rams. There were good NFC.
Yes, I'm saying it's more open. That's my point. You have a better chance of making it. But if you're in the AFC, you are gonna lose to the Patriots or you're gonna lose to the Chiefs.
And if you're in the NFC, you're gonna lose to the 49ers or you're gonna lose to the Rams.
I mean, the 49ers have lost multiple years. They lost to the Eagles. They lost to the Rams.
And they lost to the Rams, yeah.
Okay. That's my point. It's open. What do you like?
I'm saying the NFC, then AFC is top heavy. The NFC has more all around talent. AFC is top heavy. There's a Patriots, Chiefs. Name another team back then, 2018, 2019. Can you name another team that was really good in the
I
NFC?
don't have to. My point is,
there's no other
if
team.
you make it to them, but that's the point. If you make it to one of them teams, you're not beating them. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's in a harder conference, facing harder teams consistently.
But you have a better shot of winning. That's what I'm saying. You have a better shot of coming out of the NFC.
If you're a great team,
then you have coming out the AFC.
It to that point. But John, what Jesse's trying to say is he was the number one seed a lot of these times. So that means out of all these teams on his back, it's the ass beating of all the teams he didn't beat because he's number one at the end of the season. He's number one
in conference losses.
All right, and at the end of the season, he's the number one ranked team as well.
And he's not making it. That's the point. How you trust that?
But Deshaun don't make it either. So it's like, what are we talking about? They lost to the Colts.
I mean, Deshaun didn't have that much time though. At the same time, too. Like,
but then what are you?
His first full season. You said he only had first.
Yeah. What are you trusting? What are you trusting Deshaun to do that Aaron Rodgers doesn't do or didn't do?
I don't know. He beat the Bills. He was up 24-0
against the.
You gonna keep the same?
I mean, he choked. Aaron Rodgers choked.
Can you say anything else?
The sample size wasn't enough. Like I guess you. Okay, I guess if you want to say that 1 year he went to the Super Bowl, then if that's enough trust, then I guess.
But Aaron Rodgers, no, my God.
Aaron Rodgers is what? Aaron Rodgers is what?
Aaron Rodgers showed he could lead a franchise.
Aaron Rodgers
could lead a franchise.
If you compare Aaron Rodgers to like Mahomes and Brady and say consistently lost, that's one thing. But Deshaun Watson also consistently.
Yeah, all the time I got Mahomes over him.
So like you know what I'm saying. So like you compare Aaron Rodgers to Watson rather than Rodgers to Mahomes. So you say he lost, but
I think you're thinking about now, but back then, 2018.
But
back then, Watson was up there.
He's
like,
not.
I'm gonna go look at some articles and stuff, and I'm gonna send them to you.
And they don't think he's better than Deshaun Watson.
Send me one. I didn't say he was better than Deshaun Watson.
I mean,
I didn't say
my
Deshaun Watson was better than him, but I still think he was up there with him.
That's Deshaun's peak,
top
and that's
5.
still below Aaron Rodgers.
But he's not tier 1. Aaron Rodgers is tier 1. If you find one that's Deshaun's 4 and Aaron is 2, that doesn't, because you could still be tier 1, tier 2. There's still tiers. Tier 1 was to me the Aaron Rodgers, the Patrick Mahomes, at that point Tom Brady. Those were tier 1s. Those were the best quarterbacks. Tier 2s, that's when you start talking about Deshaun Watson. I think if you say maybe Russell Wilson, you could compare Russell Wilson. I think they were around the same level.
I think that was more comparable. Russell Wilson probably been tier 1.
He had 1 year where he was tier 1, I think, but they were more comparable in my mind, which is still a really good quarterback. But he's not Aaron Rodgers, and he's not like Aaron Rodgers is up there with them. He's not. I would never trust Watson over Rodgers. And in postseason, there's nothing that's shown. Period. There's nothing.
Okay, well, yeah, I'll concede to that.
But hey, look,
it took long enough.
No, but that's only one thing. He definitely got. But hey, look, we've been here for a while, so this debate a bit long. Tobias got his debate about the Will Fuller situation. Ja'Cory got a little debate about Aaron Rodgers being the GOAT. And John got his debate about the Texans' lack of success and Deshaun Watson and where we had him ranked back in the day. So that's all the debates I have for me because I had to try to rebuttal all 3 of them. So, so I am tired now. So, but thank you guys for tuning into this podcast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you made it this far, tell us who won. Right? Who won each of these debates? You think Will Fuller shouldn't have got let go? You think Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT? Do you think Deshaun Watson is slightly worse or around the area of Aaron Rodgers back in 2018-19? If you believe so, comment down below. Okay? So we'll see how that is. But thank you guys for watching. 18 through 20. That's his MVP season. I'm just saying. That's how I thought. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we will catch you on the next one. We are out of here.
Yeah.
Peace.